Yeah, here.
We are back in studio. This glorious, glorious studio, which always is ready and waiting for us, perfectly prepared.
Back,
And
back in business with Andrew and Ben.
yeah,
This is some more nonsense for you, and we've got a top. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
it's rare. So we wanted to bring our thoughts on something we care a lot about, namely the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Um, so yeah, what was your thought? No, I was kidding.
and let's get right into
But
it.
yeah, so we saw it individually recently when it came out, and then we were in separate places, and then we got to see it together after that, and
In
we
IMAX.
kind of discussed it at length after that, which I should have been recording.
Yeah, I
Because
thought
part of
about it
that
too.
was really good,
Part.
but we'll go over some of that. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I
Here.
mean, we can kind of rehash
Exactly.
some of the stuff.
It was good to talk it out. And,
But we will be releasing the podcast that we recorded prior to this. So we should leave a note for everyone. We will actually be talking about the movie this time. We're getting right into it. So
we do it right this time.
Yeah, we teased it. But we were like, oh yeah, we'll just kind of talk into it and we'll get there. And then we just we got like 2 hours in and we never got around to talking about the
that was
movie.
a little bit of a misinformation thing. A little bit of too much of a teaser.
So it's just a 2 hour teaser.
Yeah.
Whatever. No, so we are going into it. How did you want to? What kind of format did you want to do? Like, do you want to kind of just go through the whole movie together, kind of like start to finish, little tidbits here and there, a little like review style, or did you want to go like your favorites and least favorites, my favorites and least favorites?
Oh, I don't
know.
I'm not sure. I don't really care.
I didn't either. I say we just kind of do it how we normally talk about it.
Yeah, it usually ends up covering everything. We just come at it from different angles and start somewhere.
Start with what we
continue.
liked. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what was the first thing that was in it that you didn't anticipate being in it. That was one thing I wanted to ask you that I didn't get around to. Like did any of the cameos or any of the, like the wow, they finally added that. Like, did it sneak up on you? Or
yeah. There were obviously. I mean, I didn't.
Oh, we should say
there were several
potential spoilers ahead.
Oh, definitely.
Because we're going to talk about this at length.
So
it's pretty hard to do a 2 hour.
I think it was part of why the teaser was what it was. Like we were kind of jumping around at first, and then it just became, oh, we're not talking about it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, there were definitely people in. I got like one or two spoiled.
Oh no.
For me, but like just from social media, and I didn't get to see it till like the second weekend, basically. For the first time, so I was pretty careful, even though I watched a lot of stuff, and then I had like behind the scenes things that get posted in some groups I'm in,
right?
But that was like a long time ago, so it's like they filmed it like 2 years ago or whatever. But yeah, cool movie. There were definitely a lot of interesting cameos, but something that surprised me, I was definitely happy to see like an actual hands-on interaction with the camera and like the audience.
Yeah,
instead of just the point, like the normal like look to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like he full on grabbed the camera and the mic, the boom mic, which it wasn't really a boom mic. What he grabbed was like some little weird lapel thing on a stick, but and just for the gag. But I've been wanting something like that for sure. I was from the first one. I was like, I want to see a scene, which I haven't brought up here, but in other situations I've brought this up multiple times. But I was saying, oh, I want to see like fight, and he gets like winded or something, and he just calls like timeout.
Yeah,
and everybody like stops and looks at him like, what do you mean? And then you get like see behind like the director behind the camera and the cinematographer, and like he walks back there, and like they're all just looking at him, and he gets like pastry and throws it in the microwave from like craft services and starts just like humming to himself and they're all just like incredulously looking at him while he's like beeps, and then he goes comes back over and is like, okay, time in, or something, or gets a coffee or whatever it is, like something they really like step out of the movie, which would be really funny. But that so the actual interaction with the camera there was in the TVA was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Very, a little bit aggressive, if if not, but yeah, he has beef with Fox, for sure, for not letting him do what he wanted from the beginning. Which I heard that he kind of had to, like, where he said he wrote a lot of the ad libs and stuff for the even X-Men Wolverine, like Origins Wolverine.
Oh, really?
Like a lot of the stuff he was saying, because he was like, oh, he's like, I know this character, like he wouldn't say this, and he wouldn't say, he said a lot of the stuff that where it did look like he was spitballing, he was just like saying a bunch of random stuff to try to get reactions. So that's interesting. But that was cool. And oh man, let's see. I mean, definitely Chris Evans. I didn't expect to see him so soon.
Yeah,
I thought maybe eventually, because some of them like to come back and make little cameos for fun. Right. There's no reason not to, even though they're done or whatever for now. It's always good to bring back the heavy hitters for surprise.
Yeah,
and then the way they brought him back as Johnny Storm was fun too. Yeah, it's like another bait and switch within a reveal.
Yeah,
that was interesting. He didn't get to do a whole lot, obviously, but they they lampshaded that with the whole comment where he was like, "You realize what he's doing to the budget."
Yeah.
So it's like,
I was about to make comment on that. I like how they got him out of the scene. Like they didn't just forget about him, or like he's gonna go off and do something else and come back later or whatever. So that's kind of what I figured. I was like, oh, well, it's Chris Evans, so obviously he's gonna get put somewhere else, or they're gonna get separated or something. And just murked him. I was like, oh, all right, that's one way to do it. Yeah, I forgot I'm watching Deadpool. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Yeah, they weren't afraid to fill off important characters. They didn't really get to that by the end in some cases, but we get to that. And then I don't know. What about you? What were some other surprising things? You didn't see coming.
I didn't see Blade coming.
Nice.
Blade, didn't get spoiled for me, thankfully.
Yeah. And
so I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, that's a good, and I just didn't think Wesley Snipes would do it. He wouldn't be in this movie. No. And so that was a good one for me. Just I was completely taken off guard. I was excited about that.
Yeah, that was huge.
And then
the cougar roar with on top of the music when he steps in the suit. That was so funny.
Yeah, it was good. Reveal / cameo. That was good. And then I was happy to see Pyro again.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, cool. Pyro's in this, which I knew he would be in it. But I was like, I didn't, even in the trailer, you don't know how much he's going to interact, because there were several people. Toad was in it for 1 second, sort of he just had the one thing. So I was like, I knew he was in the movie, but I was like, oh, that was a good interact. He had some good, he had some very Pyro things in there.
Yeah, no Iceman though.
No Iceman, no, that would have been sweet.
Yeah,
but can't get everybody.
Get them back,
but. And then one thing that I noticed when I was watching it the second time with you, kind of saw it the first time, so I was looking out for it the second time.
Yeah.
But I kind of, I don't know if you're supposed to get this from it, but I kind of got the sense that party for him at the beginning of the movie wasn't really happening. So I should have wrote this down, and I knew I should have the second time. But there was a scene where, and I don't know if it was just supposed to be a reflection or whatever, he was just reflecting on the moment or whatever, but there's a scene in the middle of the movie where it cuts back to him and all of the characters fade out. He's there, but he's alone. And so I don't know if that was supposed to be this is what happens if you fail, Wade, or if that was supposed to be no, this is what you have to go back to if you don't succeed.
Is that when she's in his mind?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I don't know if she's doing that too, or if she was reading what really happened and he was just thinking what he wanted to happen. Because at the end of the movie, it's obviously everyone is there. But then him and what's her name?
I think that first scene was real.
I think so too, but I don't know. It's weird when she goes in his mind. She was
was in there.
Yeah,
for sure, she's messing with stuff.
But I was like, oh, I wonder if that was kind of maybe a hint to oh, hey, maybe he was alone. That wasn't happening.
Well, it was kind of like what he had said, where he felt very alone.
Yeah, but also,
even
like,
with people around.
why was she at the party? Like, why would she have been at the party? Because they had broken up. So, like, that kind of it would almost make sense that he was just like imagining, hoping that they were there.
I mean, they were still like being friends or whatever, and so they were like hanging out or whatever.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I guess that would be weird.
I don't know. I just thought, I was like, after I watched it the second time, which again, I'll watch it again eventually.
She was like, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah. I don't know. It was just there was something that was off about it, and then I was like, I don't know. There's a lot of things to suggest it was happening, but then there was that one scene, so I was like, I don't know, maybe she was just warping the memory or whatever. When she gets in people's brains, it obviously goes all kind of floopy. But
was it his actual? Was that his actual group, or was that one he had gone to that was different? It was like Fix.
Well, no, it would be his. I'm pretty sure because Peter was there, and also like if he was going to go to one, he would probably go to one where she's still in him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And also, it said Earth whatever on the like it did the little like title thing where it's like Earth 0 whatever. I can't remember the numbers for all of them, but it was supposed to be his.
Okay.
And then yeah, that was a thing. I don't know. I would have to go back and watch it, but I feel like, and obviously it doesn't matter because you can break the fourth wall and all that. And I feel like he had referenced the Avengers in other movies, but then they did the thing where like, oh, the Avengers aren't in this universe; they're in a different universe. Yeah. And like I said, it's Wade doing it, so it doesn't really matter because he knows stuff about our world or whatever. You know, like there's a meta aspect of it. But I was like, he's aware. That was one thing I noticed. I was curious about. I don't know. I wasn't talking about things that I liked. I guess I kind of got sidetracked. But there was a couple things in there where I was like, huh, I wonder if that was supposed to mean that. Like,
also, yeah, did Wolverine like pick up, like, usually they'll make reference when somebody breaks the fourth wall, the other character will be like, "What are you doing? What are you looking at?"
Yeah.
Like he never even blinked.
No, I don't think anybody.
That was interesting. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, he might have said, "What are you doing?" one time, but I don't know. But yeah, no, it wasn't like they didn't make a deal out of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's interesting.
Which is that's kind of fun, but it did make me want to replay the video game again. The video game's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you know, I'm trying to think of anything else that like snuck up on me, but I didn't expect Blade at all, and I don't think there was any other moments where I was like, oh wow, there's this. I think that was that Chris Evans, and then the camera, like the things you mentioned. I would have also.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything else right off the bat. Like I said, I should have taken a notepad when we went to watch it together so I could kind of write some stuff down.
Yeah, maybe so.
But no, I mean, I don't know. Overall, I did enjoy it. It had its issues, but I was just excited to be there. I was excited to be excited about a movie again because I hadn't gone to the movies to get like super into it in a minute.
Oh yeah, it has been.
It's been a while since I was like excited to go to a movie theater. I can't even think of the most recent movie besides that. So it was fun, even with all its flaws. Like it had issues or whatever. Like and I, you kind of knew it as soon as we knew the TVA was involved from watching the first trailer. I was like, it's gonna get messy. Like there's gonna be things that there's just gonna be stuff that slips because it's such a world breaking part of the Marvel universe. Like there's you almost can't do it without. It affects so many things. You can't do it without it messing something up.
Yeah, they're messing with all of that kind of timeline stuff now. Yeah. They were going to be, so they said, actually, I don't know if you'd heard this, but the original idea before the Kang storyline got scrapped was that the Wolverine that he chose, that was the failed one, is because his Earth encountered the three, there's these certain three Kangs that had come to one of the Earths, and like, they are the ones that destroyed like a bunch of it and killed all the X-Men while he was away, and that's where he failed.
Okay,
and it was the Kang's fault. Or they basically like destroyed that Earth, and killed everybody, and he survives because he can't,
right,
and that's why he was like, I wasn't able to stop that, and that's why he's like down on himself, and then they had to like, oh well.
Yeah,
something killed them, and I wasn't there, and they turned it into that, but at last minute apparently. So that's interesting.
I'm kind of glad that they didn't do the king thing. So that would have just added another layer of like, what to this? Which, it's fine. They're going to do what they do. But
which I sent you that right up, didn't I? There was like a 2-part thing where they were like, this was the whole king storyline, like one or two like base plot idea or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But I will say this one thing that kind of annoys me about the film was the idea of like anchor beings.
Oh,
I was like, unless it's an immortal being, how does that concept work? Like Wolverine kind of works because he can be a couple hundred years old, but like,
so they talk about that in Doctor Who as well, but they call it a fixed point in time.
Yeah.
Thing where it's like this is what's
this
constant.
Event has to
it
happen.
has to change. Yeah, it can't be changed no matter what you do.
Right.
It's always ever going to happen.
Which makes more sense for an event.
And so it's like anything in between. A lot of things can change. A lot of random things, smaller things that do less effect. But this is an overall thing that has to happen. For this universe to continue. But
the idea of like, oh, that character died, so that universe is gonna slowly implode or whatever. I was like, that doesn't make a whole lot exactly. Of sense. It would do everything in its power to keep that from happening. So that's like a mistake. But not only that, but like, what about the supposedly billions of years before that character's existed? Like Logan, even though he's a couple hundred years old, like he's only a couple hundred. The world's been around for a long time before.
So I guess. So they're talking about timelines versus just worlds or universes. Yeah. So you have to think in another, which makes it almost worse. Actually. Angle on it where it's a multiversal like timeline, I guess. Or is that different from multiverse? Yeah, it would be. It would be different. So that again, it's so convoluted at this point. So much, but it just they did it, and they tried to do it in a way that they were like they could kind of control it, and it made sense for the movie itself. Yes. But now you're adding it to the MCU, like the MCU as a whole and the TV as a whole. It's like that doesn't make sense for the timelines, especially. I didn't watch this, but especially because of people were saying because of the way Loki season 2 ended, it wouldn't have made sense because of like what Loki is now. Like he became the time god or something. I don't know. I didn't watch it. But like, anyways, I'm a few episodes away, so I haven't finished it. So anyways, the concept supposedly makes it implode on itself even more. Like, no, wait, that counteracts what we've already learned about, anyways, it causes a whole mess of issues. But like I said, for the movie itself, it didn't really cause it. Like it didn't make a problem for Deadpool and Wolverine. It made that movie make sense. Mm-hmm. But, and then the reason I brought it up is because I was seeing funny memes about it. They were like, oh man, Tony Stark's was the MCU's universe. That's why all of the movies have sucked since he died. Like it's slowly eroding. And they're like, I mean, in a way, it makes sense for us. That's true. He was our anchor being for the MCU. Yeah, he's grounding it for sure. But no, that's why I brought it up, just because I saw that meme. I was like, that's kind of funny. Like, it is slowly eroding now that he's gone. Yeah. But no, I don't know. It just seems like even the good things, every time they add something, it's like, wait, hold on. It affects so many things. Because the universe as a whole, the MCU as a whole, is so vast now. Mm-hmm. Especially if you can, like, they're gonna. Until they get to Doomsday or whatever, I feel like they're going to have to somehow decanonize some stuff. Because with stuff like Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home and certain things that they've done where I'm like, how are you going to just reconnect them in new ways? Yeah, that's what they've been doing this whole time. Right, but how long is that going to work? Like, because now they've been, again, with the introduction of anchor beings, like, what does that even imply? Like, what does that mean for the rest of... I mean, that probably won't come back. Yeah. In many important ways, I don't think. Right. And it should, like, that's what I'm saying. It should be a one-off for this movie, but the concept, introducing that as an idea, it's like, and in the movie where he ties into the MCU now, it's like, wait, so is that a thing or isn't it? Like, now they're going to have to clarify, kind of, because if you're going to do that, it should be like a celestial being, right? It should be like the Beyonder or something. And it's like, oh crap, the Beyonder's dead. Like, this world's, like, this timeline's deteriorating or something. It should be like an eternal being. That would make more sense for it to be like, hey, the anchor being for this timeline is it's Uncle Ben. Right, yeah. But see what I'm saying? Where it's just like, okay, arbitrarily, it was that character for what reason? Like, well, and I get it. Again, like it would hinge upon something that they did that impacted the whole timeline. Yeah. And that they're the only one that could have changed, fixed it and saved that
right
universe or whatever.
But the idea, it's kind of the inverse of like a fixed point in time for Doctor Who, I feel like, because that makes sense, because he's saying like this has to happen for the timeline to continue happening, and they're saying like, oh, this happened, now the timeline ends. It's like, so wait, Logan wasn't supposed to die in Logan, or was he always going to die, and that was just how old this timeline was supposed to be? Or what I'm saying, like, how does it make sense? But again, if they never bring it up again after this movie, it'll be fine, I guess. But also, it's kind of a sloppy way to do it, to be like, hey, introduction to the MCU, here's a new, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Here's a new, like, concept or whatever. I can't, there's another better word for that. But, like, here's the thing. Now we're never going to use it again.
Wow.
Like dreamwalking. They introduced dreamwalking in Multiverse of Madness, and it was like, that's a world breaking. Man, I thought of the word again and it's gone. But anyways, like being able to dreamwalk, that the concept is a good word, I guess, is like, that's literally universe shattering. When you like, for the story itself, it could work, sure, whatever. If that was a better movie, which I don't like that movie, but like if you introduce it into the world, now the consequences of that are so vast.
Yeah, like why haven't you been doing this?
Yeah, it makes so many things not work. It's like, yeah, that's a cool idea. Like I have to agree. Like the concept of that is like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like you can, if you become so powerful, you could take over. You could be like the shadow self and take over another version of you somewhere else. Like that's cool, and like that's a cool mechanic to mess around with. But when you introduce it to something like the mainline movies of the MCU, it's like, whoa, wait, what? Like this could happen to any of our characters at any time, and it just doesn't. Like, that's crazy.
Okay, next time, lead with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's that type of thing where it's like, but I don't know. Because stuff like that, I have some slight issues with, but overall, super enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I would say like,
I like seeing Matthew McFadden in there.
Yeah,
he was he was in the newer Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley, and he's done some fun thing. I think he was in Succession recently, right?
I've never seen it,
but
I've heard it's great.
But yeah, he's always very interesting to watch. He plays,
he
plays a pretty good villain.
Yeah, he did really good.
And then he kind of like folds right at the end, though. It's like, it's not a great conclusion to it. It's just like,
they kind of did have to sidestep his story to make like the rest of it. They're like, oh yeah, the movie has to end now.
Yeah.
And so
he's like off to jail.
Yeah, he just like gets arrested or whatever. Yeah, they don't even really say. They're just like, we'll deal with you, and then he leaves. And it's like, oh,
which in the show Loki is very ominous. It's like, what happens to people from the thing? Like you're just erased. I don't know what's happening there. So, but yeah.
Well, and now the whole concept, like
they're like programs, hang or whatever. Anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're not really human. I don't know.
That's another thing that really frustrates me is like the TVA as a concept. That's already messy. But then also being able to, what do they call it? When they zap people. Oh my gosh. Dude, I'm having trouble with words today.
Prune.
Prune. Yes, thank you. My goodness. I don't know what's going on in my brain. We don't have an Alpha Brain sponsorship. That's what it is. So
that's specific.
No, but when they prune people, like when they introduce it in season 1 of Loki, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting concept. Like you're pruned and you're done. And when they introduce the void, is like, no, you're really just another world, and you can totally come back.
But in a very unnecessarily like hands-on, violent way. It's
I was like,
why?
This is such a stupid way to use this.
It was a weird, like forced, like, we just violently ripped them being apart.
Yeah.
Oh, not really.
And it's like, so now I'm to believe that, like, how many layers of this are there? Like they say, oh, if you die in the void, it's over. But they said before that, if you got pruned, it was over.
Yeah.
Like that was getting pruned was like, that's it. You're done.
How much of this is a lie?
Yeah. So like, okay, if you get eaten by Goliath, it's like, okay, now you're just in hell or whatever. And then Mephisto eats you, and now you're like in deeper hell, or like what? How many levels do we go? Like pruning was supposed.
Slaughter did they have?
Exactly. Like pruning. When you get pruned, when it was introduced, it was understood that like, hey, you're done.
Yep.
And it's like, and again, the void is a concept. Now that's even messier because it's like, well, how big is the void? Well, it's the trash for all universes. So it's the biggest universe now is what you're done. Like the void, just with its introduction, it instantly became the most important place in all of the MCU.
Yeah.
Because everything is there that they wanted to, like, now all of the interesting storylines are in the Void.
Well, that's what we're wondering, like, if Battle World's gonna happen there or something.
Yeah, like, but now
it's just we're like, guys, don't have the fight here. Let's send you here.
Exactly.
Have your fight where you're not gonna kill thousands of people in the city and then bring you back.
It's like
they could just use it as like Fight Club.
Yeah, but just the introductions to things like that and how kind of sloppy they were with it, I was like, because again, having seen Loki season 1, when they got pruned, I was like, whatever. Like, okay, clearly they're going to the Void and they'll deal with that there. Right? They'll like do whatever.
Yeah.
But like for people who maybe haven't seen Loki season 1, they didn't put any weight behind them getting pruned. Like if you remember, I don't know if you remember or how vivid it is to you, but when pruning gets introduced to Loki the character, it's this severe thing, and that's the only we're seeing it through his eyes. It's his POV that we're watching. Like, oh, that guy got pruned. Like, this is a big bad. Yeah. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I know that because I've seen Loki season 1.
Yeah.
And I was watching Deadpool, and he just kind of does it to him.
He does it, and they live in it for a second, and like Wolverine's like, what?
But like barely, because it instantly makes a joke.
But like they don't immediately switch over. So it's like, I mean, that audience would be like, wait, did he just kill Deadpool? Like just for a second.
So that's what I'm saying is like it almost
get a little bit of
it almost would have been like a little more weighty if he had pruned Wolverine first, because pruning Deadpool, well, the movie's not over. It's Deadpool and Wolverine, right? But we had just seen Deadpool go and get a bunch of different variants of Wolverine. So if he had pruned that Wolverine, then you have that like, oh crap, he got rid of Wolverine. What's Deadpool gonna do? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But instantly when he pruned Deadpool, I was like, well, that's kind of like that kind of sucks, because all the people who didn't know what pruning was, they know it's nothing catastrophic because it just happened to the title character. Even though I know Wolverine was also a title character, but you get what I'm saying. Like we had just seen him go through a bunch of Wolverines. Like then Deadpool could have figured out a way, but as soon as it happened to Deadpool first, I was like, oh, you missed a cool opportunity to like make that mean something. No. Which I guess the fair assumption would be like, well, people know what pruning is. Right. It's like, yeah, but Loki season 1 wasn't that popular. Like, we know what it is because we're pretty into this. Yeah. But like, I don't know. If one of my sisters went and saw it or whatever, they would have been like, what? Like, I don't know. What would that introduction to pruning have been like? Because it wasn't very, like I said, it wasn't weighty like it was in Loki season 1, where it's like, don't get pruned. Like, pruning's it. Yeah. He just does it. And also Deadpool does it to like 60 dudes before that. And so you're just, and it comes across as like, oh, he's killing those people. But yeah, that's really the
true. Yeah, he did some at the beginning.
So you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, oh, that would have been a weird introduction to getting pruned, because they don't really sit with it at all, like they do in the show.
Yeah. Like so why didn't we see some of those guards show up in that?
Well, that's the other thing. Is like funny. That would have been fun, but also you could just say like, well, it's the Void
wandering something.
Yeah, it's literally bigger than all the universes. Oh, yeah. It has to be. So
maybe it'd be funny to like come back and they're like, why was there music playing?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, no, that would have been good. No. We'll just have one of them kind of be a bigger bad guy, like, hey, you pruned me, I'm gonna get you. Like,
did you like that opening sequence as much as everybody else in the world?
No, I was kind of bummed about that opening sequence. It was fun or whatever, but immediately he's taking out all the TVA agents, and I did like the scene where he's sitting there with Skeleton, Wolverine, and he's like talking to him. He's like, man, this is a big mess I got in, I always wanted to team up with you, and like that scene I liked. And then when they show up and he dives behind the log and then pulls the skeleton, I was like, yeah, okay, this is a Deadpool movie. Sweet. I love this. And then like 2 seconds later, I was like, oh no, not like this. It's like, so he like takes the skeleton of Wolverine from Logan. Yeah. And he starts breaking the bones.
Yeah. Immediately broke an adamantium rib off of what?
I think he breaks an arm off first. But like, at one point it vividly shows him breaking a single rib.
And it's like, that's
out of the rib cage.
How adamantium works.
With his bare hand, he literally just pulls the rib off like he would have like a T-bone or not a T-bone, but like a rib, like a set of ribs that you cooked. He just like takes it out. And I was like, what? And he uses it as a weapon to kill TVA agents. And I was like, hold on a second, whatever's going on? And then like 2 seconds after that, he's swinging the whole skeleton by the heel, and he like hits a dude in the face with it. and like the jaw of the skeleton falls off and goes flying or whatever, and like a couple of the teeth fell out too. And I was like, it was just so confusing to me. I was like, hold on. So you're simultaneously telling me it's brittle enough for him to break with his hands, but it's tough enough he was throwing it through dude's skull. Like he takes the rib that he broke and he chucks it at a dude's head and it goes through the guy's head to kill him. I was like, so wait, is it super strong or is it really like, I don't understand what adamantium is at this point anyway. Yeah. So I did not like that scene at all.
Yeah.
And I know they were trying to do like subverting expectations or whatever the reverse of that was. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but it was like they were doing it. They were intentionally trying to be distasteful about it, to be like, hey, he's desecrating these bones. Like they were doing that intentionally, but that wasn't my issue that I had with it. It was the actual mechanics of how is he breaking an adamantium skeleton with his bare hands? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's not the way we want to see adamantium being introduced to the MCU.
Which, I mean, and people
like, it's a weak metal. Yeah. Which, I mean, they mentioned it when they were talking about forging Cap shield, I think, right?
Yeah, I was trying to think of that, and I was like, is that just inferred knowledge from me, or did they actually do that? Because I don't remember.
I feel like in First Avenger, he mentioned something about it's this type of alloy fused with something.
Right.
I forget exactly what I know they said vibranium. Okay. I thought they said adamantium.
I mean, it is. It's supposed to.
Because I think they could say that even without having license back then. Like, I think that was fine.
Or maybe so the world's toughest metal or something like that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it was, I think it was something like that. But yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, I didn't even think about it with that. It was, it's the introduction to this basically in the MCU. Yeah. And on top, I know people are saying, well, like, we've seen it work like that kind of before. Is it X2 when he gets shot in the head by the cop and it like knocks him out for a second and then he like slowly heals and it pushes the bullet out. And they're like, well, that was an example of it being like inconsistent. I'm like, yeah, but that was X2. Like, we don't really care about the X movies. I'm like, yeah, they're fine, but we don't. I never held them to the standard of like, that doesn't make sense for the comics because they don't start off even close to like they're not trying to adapt any comic even. They're literally just using the X-Men IP of like, hey, it's X-Men, watch our movie. But I did see people making comments about that, like, it's kind of confusing. Like the lore behind adamantium doesn't really make a lot of sense because in this scene this happens and in this scene that happens. Because then in X-Men Origins, people had a big problem with that when he's running from the facility, the Weapon X program, and bullets are just bouncing off of him. Yeah. They're like, so did it get weaker over time? Is that why it went into him? Or like what happens? So
consistency, people.
And then I saw people arguing like, well, that cop hit him right in the spot where the adamantium bullet that Stryker shot him with did. And I was like, okay, I could kind of see that because presumably it would leave a hole in his skull right there.
Yeah.
Like getting shot right there, but they weren't thinking that because X2 came out like a decade before Origins did. No. So like you could retcon it to mean that, but I was like, no, they're just being inconsistent. Yeah. So, but all that to say is it's a bummer that the introduction in the MCU is also as inconsistent as Fox movies are. So, come on, man, be better.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you feel about that opening
sequence? I liked the way they were using it to do the credits and kind of interacting with that. Kind of
I did like
knocking the letters out of the way. I had some good motion graphic.
I like that stuff. Yeah,
of course. And the way he was just saying, "Hey, this is the type of movie it's gonna be. It's gonna be violent." Like pausing it. The intro, but I don't know. I liked the part before the fight a bit. Like that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good.
Referencing South Dakota. And he had the little planes, trains, and automobiles mug sitting outside of the gravesite as he was exhuming body. I thought when he started cussing, and looking down, we didn't see that like the body was gone, and then he was gonna have to go searching for something. Oh no! Because I knew I knew there was gonna be travel, and I was like, oh, maybe it's already gone. Like or he was never in there, and it was like, this is. He's like, what did and they were going to do some kind of behind the scenes thing. I don't know. But
where did you put Logan?
Yeah. It's like, that would have been a prop department.
Dude, it would have been great if he just walked off set and just grabbed Hugh Jackman that's how he got his Logan. Like
Yeah.
he was just on the side. He's like, "Hey, come here.
Mhm.
Like I need you for something." And
Makes a call.
and it's Hugh.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? What do you need?" And he's like, "Just put this on." And he like puts the costume on him, and then he drags him on screen, and then he's just Wolverine. Like I was really hoping for that type of fourth wall, like interact.
Yeah, it's gonna like raid the prop department or something.
Yeah, literally, where he just like goes off screen, like it shows him go backstage, like you were saying, and that's how he got over. Like he pulls him out of the real world. That's where he came from. Like like when he's because when he's digging, he's even like, Logan's not dead, and I thought it was gonna just be he gets Hugh Jackman, and like that's it just works because silly stuff like that with Deadpool. I don't care about stuff like I don't know. It's funny because you're like, well, that wouldn't have made any sense, and now you're complaining about other things not make sense. I'm like, yeah, but that makes sense, and that doesn't make sense in a total Deadpool way,
the best way.
Yeah, like, and it doesn't shatter any other things that they've established in the world prior.
Yeah, because he like literally that first scene he calls him Hugh anyway.
Yeah,
like
so they're gonna have you do this until you're 90.
He has a bunch of so many Hugh Jackman references where he was like, this man. He will sing all of the first act of Music Man without stopping,
without warming up.
Yeah. There was a Greatest Showman like track on the track list, and I was like, oh, I wonder how they're going to implement that. It's on like the actual soundtrack
and they
list
did it
or whatever.
For like 1 second,
and literally just like a needle drop. Or reference in the van as they're about to fight, and he like slams him into it and like, changes channels several times.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny. And then, they also, like you were saying, they made that musical reference, maybe not, to one of the previous X-Men movies where they started playing a song.
X2,
and he was like, not the, and he turned off the NSYNC, I think.
Yeah, so it was NSYNC when they're like Logan's in the car with everybody here, the like 3 or 4 that he rescued.
He's like, I want to listen to the radio. Right?
No, it's Bobby and Kitty and Pyro or whatever. It's the ones that he rescues from the mansion, and they're in the car and they're going to see Bobby's parents or whatever. And then like the scene before he gets shot in the forehead. Anyways, he's in the car with the teenagers, and Pyro's like, I hate awkward silences, and he goes to turn the radio on, and it's in sync, and Wolverine like makes a face, he's like, ugh, and like turns it off. He's like, no, and then it's obviously the song that's playing when he's digging up Wolverine's bones. I was like, oh no, or when he's filing them with violence,
when he's beating up a group of TV agents, which he brought a lot of his buddies and his family into the movie this time for sure. And although the McElhaney cameo apparently got cut, that was from later on, I guess.
Yeah,
supposed to be. It was like maybe a fight at.
It looked like it was in the void.
In the void, yeah. Like maybe that's where they re-encountered some of the agents,
right?
And he said in the end it didn't end up being something that like it was just extra that didn't, it's like he tried to keep it in just for that, and it was like it just wasn't necessary. Like. Needed to cut it, but it's just ancillary type stuff, I guess. But you gotta keep it tight. You gotta keep it going. Moving with something that long, which it didn't feel terribly long, but it was a pretty long movie. I think like 2.5, or not 2.5, 2:20 maybe. Forget, but there were some cool people at Ant-Man in the Void. They had since a villain in Santa Nova was holed up in Giant Man's corpse, or he's in his suit within the.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the mechanics of that.
So at some point, is that supposed to be Scott Lang? It looked like his suit.
Yeah, I mean it could have been.
So it was like when did that happen? When did he?
That's the thing about the Void.
Whose Void is it? Oh, I guess it could be another.
Could be any. Well, that's true. That's the thing is they don't. That's what I was saying about the Void earlier. Is they don't distinguish between there's different voids.
Yeah,
they just say the Void. So
that's true. So it's all the worlds.
That's the thing is it's every world's crash, as it were, of like this wasn't supposed to happen. That like because supposedly that's where Loki from Loki season 1 came from, was the original MCU. He teleports out of there and then they get him, right? Like, hey, you're not supposed to be past this part of the timeline. Like that's where he's making. So it's its own world within all of the multiverses and timelines. That's what's so confusing about it, is because we were able to differentiate between this is multiverse, this is timeline, this is universe. So like the universes are encapsulated in the multiverse, and the multiverse has everything. And then each timeline has its own multiverse. So you kind of have these layers.
Yeah.
But then the void suggests that all of them are tied into this one, not entity, but like space, I guess is what it is. Is like every single timeline and multiverse feed into one. Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, what? And I get the idea is how it was explained to me outside of the universe, which is always in mind when someone outside has to be like, no, this is why it makes sense. Like that in the movie or the show, like it should be obvious.
Which also makes it a link to those things. So if they do find a way out,
right? That's what I'm saying. You could timeline hop.
Yeah.
Which Loki kind of does in the show, which is another problem I have. But anyways, like I'm trying to not get derailed by talking about Loki season 1 too much.
What if you bring one of those batons into the void and then prune somebody? What happened?
Dude, who knows?
Do you like reappear in another spot in the void?
Can you get double prune? Does it even work? I don't know. But like, so anyways, wow, I lost my train of thought again. No, you're good. I'm just really trying to get not too far off base of talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, but yeah, dude, I don't know. The void really frustrates me as a thing in the universe. In the MCU.
I love it.
I love it. That's fine. You can like it. It just isn't good. You can like things that aren't good, people. It's fine.
No, it's just it was like a device for cameos kind of in the first season.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is the way it was explained to me, I guess. So somebody suggested that it could be this way is, well, that's why Eliath is there because it is a kind of a finite space, and he goes around and cleans it up. Like it's a big world, but it's no bigger than Earth is how it was kind of explained there. Like it could be like this because, and Eliath just picks it up. And then I was like, well, that kind of like, unless Eliath and Cassandra Nova have a deal, like that kind of ruins the Cassandra Nova thing, which it suggested that the TVA and her have a deal. But I'm like, so does the TVA control Eliath? Or because in the Loki season 1, it seems like Eliath is his own entity.
Well, they were saying, she said that they did have an understanding, kind of like, as long as he was fed regularly, like he would just come in and take whoever he wanted basically from our camp or something.
Well, no, it seemed like he would have taken those people because they were all running to hide in that one scene.
Yes, but they were saying, oh, he hasn't been fed. Like, and you guys are just in time to
eat his next meal. That's another thing that doesn't make sense. Is like,
safe.
So wait, he does it because he's hungry, but it's consistently getting, the world is always getting people and things added to it from every single timeline, from every single multiverse. It's like, wait, so how is this place not getting overrun? And it's like, well, Eliath is kind of like an all-seeing entity. He can be where he needs to be. I'm like, so it was just perfect timing in Deadpool Wolverine that like it just happened to happen like that twice. Okay, I guess.
He's going to be in the area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like
ooh, big characters.
I kind of don't like when they reuse stuff like that, mechanics like that, because it's like the first time they could have had them escape for another reason. You know, I don't know why, but they could have just had them escape.
Yeah.
Even before they got to the camp, they could have seen it and then escaped. Like somehow gotten the knowledge that they got about Cassandra Nova another way. And they got out. And then the later scene where they use the strange device, the portal.
Yeah. Sling ring.
Yeah, the sling ring to get out. That's when Eliath comes in and it's like, uh-oh, big bad's here. Now we got to go.
Yeah.
But using it twice over, I was like, wait, so he just was there both days?
And I don't think that was necessary for him to be there either. Because it was like
in that scene.
There wasn't, they were already wanting to go. And she gave him that opportunity. Oh, here's a portal. Here's a way to go out. And we solved, our difference temporarily. And then they're like, oh, and you have to run to it within a few seconds suddenly.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they were going to go.
Yeah,
like, they were going.
It wasn't necessary.
You didn't need to.
And now, if you want to introduce Gambit or X-23 again, or any of those specific characters from the Void, that's going to be way harder because they were right there.
Yeah, you don't know, like, oh, did he just eat a bunch, like, whoever was left?
Right. He didn't get out of the way at all. No. They were just watching.
Yeah, they're like, we did our part.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a couple things about that where I was like, that was like you said, that was totally she was gonna let him out. Like, why did they do the?
And not everybody died there too, because like then she and Pyro came out of the portal,
right?
Later.
Exactly.
So it was like, and the Deadpool and stuff. So
yeah, there was a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. Is like they're like, oh, there's hundreds of Deadpools in the Void, and it was like, wait, how? What is Eliath doing? Like, because they weren't I can buy that Cassandra Nova protects her little gang of people inside the little Ant-Man bottle. Like, I can I should have just stopped talking, sorry. I can get behind like, okay, she has some power or whatever. There's some type of deal. But then they were just like, oh yeah, there's a community of Deadpools down here. I'm like,
Yeah.
so Elias just doesn't eat certain people that like he's just not doing anything sometimes. Like what I don't know. The whole
They're
concept
staying
is,
clear enough. They know where to not to be, I guess.
yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Because I think in Loki, like once people showed up, Elias would show up. Like,
Yeah.
Somebody's dropped.
Yeah.
That thing.
That I'm okay with.
Or like
It was almost like a wave that just
and then those other Lokis like were like, oh, here's our bunker.
yeah, they had to go
Thing
underground.
where we could hide from it. We knew how to do this and when to come out.
Because it was suggested like anything that touches the cloud that is Eliath is devoured.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So you could it's like a wave and the whole world is an ocean and eventually it gets all the way back around.
Yeah.
It's kind of like almost like a timed thing, like, hey, once a day or once every 2 days.
No.
That's kind of how it seemed.
No, it wasn't.
Well,
No, because he can like turn around.
well, no, he's still in his own entity.
I like that though. Like if it was just a thing that they knew what time of day and it just comes by.
Right. That's what I'm saying is
Just don't get
that
caught in it.
introduction initially because the first time they see it, it's just a wave. It's a cloud. Like he's got his face or whatever, but they're like, hey, Elias coming. We got to go.
Yeah.
And it kind of seemed like the Lokis that were there knew when to do it.
Yeah.
So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's just a cloud. Like that's what I'm saying. I thought
Okay.
the introduction, and then it was like, no, he's just an entity that roams. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that doesn't work
Materializes
nearly as well.
wherever and
Yeah, I'm like that as a concept
Yes.
doesn't work nearly as well as like you said, if it had been like you're almost like a clock and it's a hand that always goes around or like a wave around the world or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like a cloud.
It's more predictable.
Yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
like, and it would work as a feature because then it explains how is the void not overrun? Is there a finite amount of space? Is it one world? Is the void infinite? Like now you have to answer all these questions that if you had just introduced it as a like, hey, it's a clock hand and it's going to get all the way around the clock or whatever. It's like, okay, that makes sense. So every once in a while, people like every 24 hours, it's reset basically.
Mhm.
That I can deal with. But then they introduce like, well, underground we're safe. And it's like, so why isn't this just civilization underground? And how far is underground? Is it just the size of it? Like, so you're always gonna run into stuff with every time you introduce something.
Why do you gotta travel on top?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, and also, no, I'm not talking about Loki. I'm not doing it.
Anyway,
we're saying
So
it's hard not to. It really is hard not to because so much happens and the void is so important in Deadpool Wolverine.
and we're not trying to talk negative. We like the movie a lot.
No, yeah,
These are just some things
we're just nitpicking.
we're just noticing and stuff, pointing out some things.
It's part of the fun. This is what we do when we enjoy movies.
We do. Yeah, we wouldn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't care this much if we didn't care.
No, I genuinely like. I guess we could go ahead and give like a little rating for it. It doesn't just for the end or anything. Like, what did you? Oh, hey, let's use our Stargate system.
Okay.
We'll do so you can have 5 negative or 5 plus.
All right.
We've got a wide range, and you can do half points.
So, I think I wasn't as high on it as probably the original Deadpool.
Okay.
So it's got some like impactful stuff, but I think let's see, I'm probably like plus, I don't know what, plus 2.5 or something, plus 3, somewhere in there.
Okay, that's I can see that.
Like
What would
almost.
1 be? Like, what is? By the way, this is totally an unfair ranking because we haven't watched 1, or I don't know if you have, but I haven't watched Deadpool 1 in a long time, so it's been a blind ranking in here. Like, I remember it, but I wouldn't want to give it an official rating without actually rewatching it first. But what would you guess the Deadpool 1 ranges in?
It was
Just for context.
It's got some like impactful stuff, but I think let's see, I'm probably like plus, I don't know what, plus 2.5 or something, plus 3, somewhere in there.
Okay, that's I can
like-
see that.
Like
What would 1
almost.
be? Like, what is? By the way, this is totally an unfair ranking because we haven't watched 1, or I don't know if you have, but I haven't watched Deadpool 1 in a long time, so it's been a blind ranking in here. Like, I remember it, but I wouldn't want to give it an official rating without actually rewatching it first. But what would you Yes, the Deadpool 1 ranges in,
It was
just for context.
Hmm. I mean, let's see if it was like plus. I'm imagining this off 10. That's just
Right.
if it would probably be like plus um 3.75 or whatever. Like it's not exactly where it didn't hit some stuff that I wanted, the initial one. It's a very different take on Deadpool than I was expecting originally, but it was cool to see. And there's definitely like that kind of thing is weighing heavily, where it's like, oh, we finally got a Deadpool thing, and it was fun, and we got to at least we got to see it.
Introduction of the character.
And it's like, yeah, we're happy for that at least, even if it was something very different. But yeah, it was a very different telling than I was expecting and hoping for. So I mean, it wasn't like my perfect MCU movie or anything. Like, there were some other ones I liked more for sure, um, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. They didn't do a horrible thing and change it in ways that were detrimental or anything. So
okay, so
I think just above that.
There's not a huge gap.
It's not. Yeah.
So for me,
it's still solid.
That's why I was asking, because I would give one a much higher rating.
Okay.
Like I liked it quite a bit more. Like if you were like, hey, do you want to rewatch Deadpool and Wolverine? I'd probably just be like, oh, rewatch Deadpool for like I would rather rewatch Deadpool.
Sure.
I genuinely enjoyed it. Like there's also the nostalgia factor, like you said, like at the time, like the excitement was high for it. It was like, okay, we're finally getting this, like
I think the jokes were like more
jokes were good,
were more solid and more like unique than like these last two iterations. They kind of rehashed.
It was a lot tighter. Yeah. Even the second one, I would say. So for me, it goes kind of the traditional, how most, series or like, what do you call that? Three movies, a trilogy. There it is. Words hard. Words are hard, man. Hard words are. Anyways, most trilogies go 1, 2, 3, typically, right?
How else would they go?
But some of them go 2, 1, 3. Every once in a while, you'll get one that goes 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I won't elaborate on that, I guess.
No, not at all. No, I'm saying ranking wise. Like, like in order of how much I like them.
Totally. Yeah.
Typically, it goes like I like the first one the most, second one a little bit less, third one a little bit less.
Actually, with a lot of trilogies that I found is it's either if it's a comedy, it's 1 and 3 are good.
Yes.
And 2 fell off, and they fix it in 3.
Yep.
And then like action films, it's usually 2 is the best, because they they have like the initial one is like, oh, this is a good idea,
Spider-Man,
but I don't know how to execute it, or I'm a new filmmaker. And then the second one, they're like, money, I've got extra money, I've got somebody else that knows how to help me with the part I don't know, and they do it. And then the third and on is always like, oh, they're just
faltering,
they're just trying to redo the same formula.
Generally speaking, I would agree with that. Okay. But I would say on average,
so 1 is strongest.
1 is usually the strongest. 2 is a little bit less, and 3 is a little bit less than 2.
Sure, yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about Deadpool. Like this one, I would probably give it around the same ranking. I wouldn't say it's lower than like a 2, for sure. Yeah. Like on our scale of there's -5 all the way to +5, right?
I think there's enough pluses.
I think it gets around a 2 and a 2.5. And again, it gets a bump because of when it came out and how it came out, and all like. That affects movies. It just does. Like I hadn't been to the theaters and with a movie that I was excited to see in a long time. Like for instance, Top Gun Maverick. I didn't even go into that super excited. I was kind of like, oh, it's a movie in theaters, I'll go watch it. But I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. Like I wasn't like, yeah, Top Gun Maverick, let's go. Like I wasn't, stoked for it. I was just like, oh, hey, this looks like a good movie, I'll go watch it. And it was. So like that kind of factors into my ranking for Deadpool, is I was pretty hyped to see this movie, which can negatively affect a movie sometimes. Sometimes you're really psyched for it. And so like, anyways.
I mean, that also could have attributed to the first one viewing for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I was like, had too much that I wanted from it.
Well, and
for sure.
Especially if you're a big comic Deadpool fan.
Yeah.
There was some lag.
It's very different than that. Yeah.
Very
for
different.
Sure.
But a lot of people, it was their introduction to Deadpool, and they got into comics because of it. And I think as an introduction, it did pretty
it did its job.
But I liked 3. I think it's I don't know. Maybe. See, this is the thing. I might like it more than the second one. I don't really know. I don't think I do, but I haven't seen the second one in a bit.
Whether like the inclusion of the X-Men it like puts it over that
exactly
because I liked Cable and what
I don't know.
It was fun.
I don't know why people
the whole
did
storyline and like different.
It got a lot of hate for some reason, especially like after after
we had Juggernaut. Like there was a lot of cool stuff.
Well, people were upset about Juggernaut. That was one of the things people didn't like.
Really?
They liked the introduction, but they were like, "Oh, he's so much different. Like, why is he so much different than the Juggernaut?" Because Last Stand had a Juggernaut, and I was like, "Yeah, but that was not a good Juggernaut."
That wasn't no.
Which Deadpool Wolverine had him back. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. People were hating. I remember there being
Vinnie Jones though.
Yeah, no Vinnie Jones. I remember people hating on the second one. Not a lot. Like it was still positive reviews overall, but there was way more hate for the second one than there was the first one.
Sure. Yeah, I mean the first one was pretty untouchable.
This one seems a lot more, at least in like critic reviews and stuff and popularity. It seems more on the first one side of things, where there's a lot less hate for it.
Yeah, it got a very big reception, because X-Men is a huge deal.
I mean, it passed 1 billion in what, like 6 days or something crazy?
It was fast.
It was really fast. Which again, I think that's partly contributable to just what else are people excited about to watch right now? Like what's come out in the past literally like 6 months that people are like, I have to watch this movie culturally, where it's like, oh, it's a big cultural thing.
Well, I mean, obviously the Kevin Costner vehicle, whatever the movie is.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
He had this big Western saga that he was trying to get off the ground.
Horizon,
yeah. And he put a lot of introduced himself, put all this money into
apparently, and like 20 years,
and then it just tanked. That first one tanked, and he already had like the second one in the can mainly, and he would just need to edit it, and he was gonna put it out the next year. And after that, they were just like, well, we gotta push that, I guess, and figure out what we want to do.
That sucks.
Like dang.
That would be so breaking.
And then Inside Out 2 was before that, I think, right? Well, that was huge. Inside Out 2.
Oh, Inside Out. Yeah,
so
Inside Out.
Pixar is always has a big release.
Pixar gets some good ones
in the summer.
But dude, genuinely, since Madam Web, what have people been excited about? We haven't had any big hits since that. No. Yeah, I kind of forgot about Inside Out 2. That did release. But again, so few and far between, even with that. And I'm sure there's one that we missed, like 1 or 2 that we missed, but like even Inside Out 2, culturally speaking, it wasn't like Deadpool and Wolverine. Like there's movies that people started to go to see because they're like, what am I missing out on? Like everybody's talking about. Like I signed into Facebook and every all the reels are Deadpool Wolverine. All this is they're gonna make,
last thing was like
I'm gonna make a name for myself.
Barbie and Oppenheimer maybe and that kind of thing.
That was but that was a year ago.
While. Yeah,
that was last July, I think. August.
It was like would be stuff like that.
So when Maverick would have been right after that, right? Wasn't that Christmas after? I don't know.
I guess
timelines are messy, as we've learned. But no,
I thought it was like early in year.
It was Christmas.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. I thought so. I thought it was a Christmas release. But
it's so weird. Why would it be a Christmas? It's gonna be a summer release.
I'm gonna look this up right now. Yeah. But no, so I would say for that, like somewhere in the 2 to 2.5 range for me for Deadpool Wolverine.
So we're about a 2.5.
Yeah, we're both around there.
It's fine.
I think I give the first one higher than you do, though. I think I liked it more than you did.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Because you said 3.5 for the first one, or 3.
Yeah, 3.75 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We're only doing halves. So,
yeah.
Okay, so 3.5. Yeah. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would give it
definitely different expectation.
Yeah.
And the first one had TJ Miller.
Yeah, I know. I was bummed that they kind of had that falling out.
Yeah. Because like that was a fun back and forth. That type of character is always good. It's like it's rare when somebody out talks Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I'm super dumb. It was a summer release. Okay, Top Gun Maverick. It was May 27th.
I thought it was like right at the beginning of like summer.
I'll tell you what it was. I didn't see it until Christmas.
Sure. No,
that's
definitely.
No, but I saw it in theaters.
Well, time.
Maybe I got it for Christmas. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I got.
Time moves pretty quick.
But again, timelines are messy. The TVA screws everything else. Also,
they ruined it for us.
Also, is Miss Minutes on that thing anymore? I haven't watched the second season, but like she wasn't a part of the movie.
Yeah. Oh no, but she. I don't know what happens to her by the end. Maybe she gets killed or something. But she's still in it where I am at. Like she's like the main villain almost.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, she's like
Nice.
been behind a lot of this. Um, Tara
I'm
Strong just killing it out there.
I'm gonna have to pause because I have to use the bathroom.
Okay.
But we'll be right back.
Yeah. Um, Tara
I'm
Strong just killing it out there.
I'm gonna have to pause because I have to use the bathroom.
Okay.
But we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, what we were saying. It doesn't matter.
We just give them the rating.
Oh yeah. So we're both around the same with it. I think that's a general consensus too. I think everybody's pretty happy with it, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Seems pretty well received. I'm seeing more and more nitpicking as people are rewatching it. So like the people I know, I'm like,
Sure.
oh, I didn't pick up on this. Oh yeah, that is gonna wait. That doesn't make sense. It's not like what we're doing, but
Yeah, I mean, repeated viewings, you always see a lot more. Which this one is good for repeated viewings, definitely. I like seeing it multiple times.
Yeah, 2 was good amount. And that's another thing. I haven't seen a movie twice in theaters in a really long time. I haven't been like, oh, that was good. I'm okay to pay. Which it helps that I was telling you the first time I saw it was $6.50. That was a big plus. That's nice. But even if it hadn't been, I would have gone a second time. Which is, yeah, I think the last time I did that was like maybe Avengers. Not the first one, but either. I think I saw Infinity War twice.
Saw Interstellar's coming back to the theaters for a thing. I was like, ha.
Never gonna watch that movie again, I don't think. Maybe when I'm old and I've forgotten that I've seen it at
I
all.
thought that was one you liked.
I guess not. Like
my brother does.
No, I do not like Interstellar.
Okay.
I like Inception.
Okay.
No, Inception I like all. And no. Interstellar's fine. I saw it in theaters when I was like 7 minutes late, so I missed the first few minutes, and apparently that really impacts the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But even with that, I was like, I'm not sure what could happen in the first 7 minutes to change the things that I didn't like about it. Like the things I didn't like about it weren't because I was like, well, I'm missing context for this. It was just like,
Okay.
I just did. Yeah, it was fine. It was really long.
You're like, who are they contacting? Go back to the other side from this space. I don't get it. No,
I've since been filled in on what I missed, but
yeah,
it didn't change how I feel about it. Maybe, and again, I'll rewatch it eventually one day. Maybe I'll watch it with you and Eric. I need to watch it with somebody who really likes it to maybe rub off on me a little bit or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
It had been severely overhyped to me. Like they were like, "This is the movie of the century."
Talked about, yeah,
oh, it's so good because I saw it like 3 weeks after it came out, or a month or so. Like it was a while. I was late to the party on that one, and people were like, "It's like the best movie I've ever seen. Oh, it makes so much sense. It's like scientific. Oh my gosh, it follows string theory perfectly." Da 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 da. I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Super hyped up, and I watched it. I was like, "That was funny." Like, it's not bad. I think I just had a bad taste in my mouth because it was so like touted as this amazing movie, and I was like, It's one of the reasons that we're trying to tone down Deadpool Wolverine for you guys. Like, go see it for yourself. I'm just kidding. No, not really. But
make your own conclusions.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things that I really liked about it.
So we could talk about, I guess, cameos and stuff now.
Right, yeah.
Or plot line or whatever.
I mean, to be fair, not a whole lot to talk about plot-wise. Like, I feel like not that there's not thing, but I feel like if we kind of talk about characters that'll come together, we don't have to do a whole plot summary of it necessarily.
It's supposed to be like a redemptive arc,
right,
for him, or like a new chance, and he was kind of honestly, Deadpool wasn't really somebody I could get behind at the beginning. Like his motivations were very selfish.
Yeah, that was part of it.
And he was just wearing that on his sleeve too. Like he would just say that straight up. And he was just, trying to get back in good with his girl. And then it's like, bro, like let it go. Like at this point, she'd moved on. It's kind of sad. But yeah, he improved in some way. He learned some stuff. Unfortunate ways, but he had to do it the hard way, and then he got a chance to do a team up that he'd always wanted
with another character on a redemption arc.
Yeah,
well, I guess they hadn't really been on.
Well, yeah, he was
got thrust into one.
He wasn't wanting to do that at all. No, he got drug along and then lied to. Too.
That was one we have
calculated wish.
Yeah. What did you say? Dude, We haven't done all the cameos yet, but that was one that I forgot to mention. The Henry Cavill, that was a fun moment too.
Yeah.
I did not expect that at all. I was not ready.
I definitely didn't.
So that goes right in with the Blade one I was talking about earlier. Like that was.
There were a couple of speculated alternate Wolverine like actors that they were thinking Daniel Radcliffe would be the guy in the patch and the suit.
Well, I was thinking he might have been the sacrificial one. Also, I was just kind of surprised they didn't do more.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, oh, that would have been cool to do like all of the fan casts one, pretty much like Daniel Radcliffe or who's the other guy they were trying to get for a while before Daniel Radcliffe? Oh crap, what's his name?
Taron Egerton?
Yes. They were trying to get Taron Egerton.
I mentioned that. I don't know if that was ever a reality, but
people were
just talking about
big fan cast thing.
Yeah.
It was because him and Hugh had been like 2 or 3 movies together, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
They did Eddie the Eagle and then another one right after that. I can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure they were in a couple. So
yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, he is kind of like a young Hugh Jackman." I'm like, no, he's not. Like, he's a fine actor, but
they're like, "Oh, Zac Efron or somebody." I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it would have been fun if they had done more of that. But I did like the Henry Cavill one.
Yeah, that was solid.
That was a good one, and they could have ended with that one too. That would have been.
People are like, "All right, let's continue with that guy."
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That could be the new hits. But we'll see. We don't know what's going to happen because I think it was pretty ambiguous. Everybody seems to think that I'm wrong, but I think it was pretty ambiguous at the end, or not ambiguous, but like he was like, "Oh, man, they were sitting on that bench, shawarma, and he said something about like, oh yeah, this is going to be great," and he's like, "Yeah, you're probably not going to see me again," and like puts like walks off.
Yeah.
And then they still like, you're like, oh, we'll go back to the house and stuff. And they did say earlier, oh yeah, you're going to do this till you're 90. But I feel like that's just, a joke about him coming back again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think they're kind of saying, to my, because in the end, like he came back because this is a special thing. Like he was like, this is something, he's like, I was retired from the character, but it's like, no, this is something that
huge deal.
It was a big deal, and it would be really cool to do, and for sure.
Like one of his best friends.
But like the amount that he goes into, like he wants to do it right. He wants to present that character. He's a character he cares a lot about, and it's like, and he's done for a long time. And he's like he really can't get in that kind of shape without like he's gonna start hurting himself. Like the chances of him like injuring himself soon after doing it for too long, it's like. There's so much of that. There
is that, but also like those apps were straight up fake, bro.
Oh,
I think all he really has to do is just lift heavy with your arms, man. They can edit everything else.
I mean, they also edited the arms too.
Yeah, they did
for a lot of it. But no, like I mean, from that standpoint, I think he's not getting any younger, and he was saying like he wants to be able to with his kids more and do all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
I think he would if he could forever, but I don't think he physically can for very much longer. So he could still show up a couple of times, but I think we're pretty much done with that era, and I think they will have to move on in some way.
I didn't get the impression that Ryan Reynolds was going to do a lot of Deadpool after this either.
Right.
I kind of thought this was a send-off. That's the vibe that I got, was like, no, yeah, we got our introduction to the MCU, but it was really just like, hey, we did it. Like it was, I viewed it more. No, I could be totally wrong, and if he's in it more, awesome, right? He'll still be in stuff.
I'm hoping, yeah, like Secret Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that, like Avenger team-ups.
That's what I'm saying. He'll be in more team-up stuff, more cameo type stuff, but I don't see like another 3 Deadpool movies.
Yeah, there's no
in
need
the MCU. Yeah.
They usually do pretty good with 3 movies.
I think he could definitely be a part of the Avengers. They'll have a fun little like, I made the Avengers. They asked me to join. I'm doing it. Like I'm fighting somebody.
He'll be like he'll show up with the Thunderbolts at some point.
Yeah,
or something because he's been on that team.
He could do all kinds of stuff. I just don't see it as like
maybe actually this is X-Force movie.
This seems like Ryan Reynolds' last hurrah with the like he's heading up the project. He's doing all the like character writing stuff. Like
totally.
I feel like he's probably done with that. I saw a lot of people like, finally he's in the MCU, now they can do this and now they can do. I'm like, they're not doing all that. Like no, this was like they might pay their respects in some ways with little nods here and there, but I don't think they're going to do full on movies or team up movies or anything like
Yeah, he's not gonna be.
I would
He's not gonna try to be RDJ, you know. For
no, I would be
10 years.
surprised if he's in anything outside of either Doomsday or Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Like I would be shocked, which is fine. But I don't. All that to say is, I definitely don't see Hugh coming back any
Yeah,
more than that.
I really don't. Unfortunately, it's like
And I'm fine with that.
it's okay. Like
yeah,
we've seen him in all the best ways. It's like I'm
exactly.
very happy with what we've gotten.
We've gotten a lot out of that, and it was a really good character, and he did it really well. But like, man, it really frustrates me when they're like, "He's that character." That's like we don't. He's the only one.
He's
It's
the only
like,
one
no,
that could ever do that. It's like, bro,
it's called acting.
Yeah.
It's like someone else will also be a good Wolverine.
Yeah. This is
Like,
how characters have been portrayed
I was about to
across
say,
history.
he didn't do the voice acting or mocap or anything for any animated stuff or video games, and I've gotten super into some of those characters.
Yep.
Like, I really like Wolverine from the animated series, and it's
Steve
not
Blum.
even close. Like you, Jacob, at all.
Nope.
And yeah, it's voice acting, but like, it's still the character. It's a different adaptation of the character. You could do that with normal acting too. Like, I don't know. People get so hung up on like, oh, there'll never be another good Iron Man. RDJ was perfect. I'm like, he was perfect because you bought into him as a character because he's a good actor.
Yes.
And there's other good actors.
Yes.
Like, that can happen again.
About any other series that have changed hands multiple times over the years.
Bro, Doctor Who.
Because unfortunately, like they're saying, a lot of the fans that watch Marvel movies don't know anything about movies.
Right.
So they're just there for the entertainment value.
Well, it just made me upset when they did that to Chadwick Boseman. Like, they're like, he did it so perfectly, we couldn't ever dream of. I'm like, you're telling me you're never going to do Black Panther again? Really? Because Chadwick Boseman played him in like 2 movies? Calm down. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Ad hominem. Like, oh man, it frustrates me so much. They're like, no, that character's done now. It's like, I get it. You want to say that you're paying respects to him, but this is not how it worked. Like, it's the character, not the actor. I'm sorry. He did a great job. And RDJ. Robert Downey Jr. did a great job. Hugh Jackman did a great job. Like, it's not disparaging them at all. They're obviously the best so far. I'm just not of the mindset that no one could ever do it again.
Like somebody else plays Bruce Banner, I won't care.
Right.
Dracula is apparently one of the most portrayed characters in all of like literature and film and stuff. Like, so on stage and movie and TV, he's been portrayed like 800 or 900 times.
Good
I guess.
Lord.
Apparently, compared to like the next one is like 200 something.
Right.
And it's like not even close. But because he's open, he's Creative Commons for so long that he's just been used in everything, not just his own storyline, or that name has. And so, that guy's been portrayed by millions of people, but we're not like, oh, it's only Harold Lloyd, or it's only this guy. It's like,
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where, like you said, people like MCU fans don't know anything about movies, or like the medium, like as a whole. I don't know, because you could do it in different mediums too. Like, I guess it's because I view them as characters, because I was introduced to most of them in comics.
Yeah.
So it's
the
like,
character is bigger than the
dude. It's so much bigger.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is so much bigger than Tobey Maguire or Tom Holland, or in the fact that like that should be a good example, because I like Tobey Maguire. I think he was a good Peter Parker, and I think Spider-Man was fine. He had some okay Spider-Man moments, like as the character of Spider-Man. I think Andrew Garfield was fine. I don't like him as Peter really at all, but his Spider-Man was pretty good at times. And I like Tom Holland as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. Like, he had a little bit of both that I liked from both, and I didn't like from, like, there was things that I liked about all of them, but I don't think like, wow, no, this is Spider-Man. Like, Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man. Those other ones aren't realistic. It's like, no, like, they all did a good job in their respective, to an extent. Like, there's obviously things that you can nitpick and be upset about, especially the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Those
really?
This one went downhill fast.
I kind of like those more than the other ones.
I really like the first one. Big fan of the first one. The second one gets so silly, dude.
Really?
So just with the Jamie Foxx Electro, like, I don't know what they were trying to do with that. It was so goofy. And then, like, I don't know. I just don't know how they can keep making the same mistake after Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, the biggest problem that everybody talks about is too many villains. They didn't flesh out enough. And then like that's exactly what they did with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then they kind of did it again with No Way Home. Like No Way Home was good. I love No Way Home, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, when are they going to figure out that you don't have to add more villains to make it a better movie? That's not the key to success, guys. Don't add more, but like that's not what we care about. Yeah, it's cool, right? And you can have a little like Rhino fight scene on the side or whatever. You can have him doing like breaking up robberies or whatever you want to do. But like, the level of how much we care and how much interest we have in a movie is not dictated by the amount of villains that are hero faces. That's not what makes us.
And that third Amazing Spider-Man was about to be a Sinister Six.
Yeah, I know.
Thing, so it was about to be a lot more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like the second one did so poorly that they didn't get a third one.
Yeah,
which is a bummer. I would have liked a third one in that series.
Sure.
I enjoy those movies. I just don't think they're as good as the others.
I like a couple of the characters and would have liked to see more.
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job with some of like the Gwen storyline was obviously like people were pissed about, like that was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
but we have stood pretty far off from Deadpool Wolverine, which is fine.
It happens.
Fine, it happens. But yeah, all that to say is I can't stand when people get hung up on character like actors as characters.
Sure.
We can never have that again.
Yeah, that's
I've had Iron Man in my life for 20 something years.
Very short-sighted.
Yeah, like I've had Spider-Man in my life for 20 something years. I've had Wolverine in my life for 20 something years. Yeah. Like Gap.
Like understandable,
dude,
but
I like Chris Evans. But think about Chris Evans. Chris Evans is a perfect example. I think he played a great Johnny Storm. I think he was really well cast and good as Johnny Storm. And I think he also played a great Captain America, and he was really well. And those two characters could not really be farther apart. Like, yeah, they're both blonde hair, blue eyes, white guys, sure, but his characters and their traits and stuff, way different. And he played both of them really. What does that tell you?
Yeah,
it's about acting. Yeah. It's about his range
good
as
direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Writing, yeah.
Well, good writings. Johnny Storm didn't have great writing, but those movies
they were different. It was different, right?
But yeah, but it was mainly good acting. Like he became those characters because he's good at what he does. And so like I don't know why people can't just see that more and be like, wow, he was two totally different characters Cap, and it was great.
And I think like after Civil War or whatever, he was Cap and a different side of Cap, and then in Knives Out he was a villain, and it's like, oh no, not Captain America. It's like no, he's an actor. Like he can do whatever he wants.
Dude, which I'm not a big fan of Knives Out. It was fine, but I didn't even think of him as Captain America.
Okay, we're not getting into that, but okay,
we will later. We will later. I know how you think. The first one, yeah, with the first one. The last one was just
no. I was talking about the first one.
Yeah. No, obviously because Chris Evans. No. And Knives Out was fine. It was good. It was fine. We're fine. It's okay. Everything's okay. The podcast is still on, guys. We're good. We're coming back. No, I'm just kidding. Friendship will survive. No, but I never even thought, Cap, when I saw him on screen, because he wasn't like, I don't know. I can just I think people are just so shallow. I think that's really what it is. They just see a face and they're like, that's what that is. It's like, it's about the character. Like, what have you learned about them as a character? It's not just like, oh wow, his face is the same as other man's face.
I think a lot of people aren't trying, or they don't think about what they do. But dang it, how do you say that? They're not informing themselves as much about, or they're not retaining as much about what they saw. Because if you do take them back through the movie, they can always be like, a lot of times, they try to boil it down. They're like, oh yeah, man, I'll never unsee him though as Cap, and it's like, okay, but let's take you through Knives Out, and this happened, and this is a choice that was made, and then they're like, oh, well, yeah, okay, I can see that. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's like if they stop and think about it, it's like they do have the information and the tools they need, and if they think about it critically, like they can come to more logical conclusions, and they can figure out like, okay, that was just a blanket thing I was saying.
That's one of the reasons I use the word shallow, not just in like, oh, that person's hot type of shallow, not just that, but just like they're shallow in their approach to how they think about it too. Yeah, like it's just very surface level. Like, sure. Okay. Oh, this is like, oh, Chris Evans is Captain America. It's like, no, Chris Evans is an actor who played Captain America, who also plays but it's just like, oh yeah, he's and I get the association because he's played that character a lot. I mean, good at it, so I can see the RDJ. Like I understand where they're coming from, but that's what I mean by shallows. It's just so surface. Like they're not looking anything past. Like
they're not trying to.
So the reason you care is because that story's good and that acting is good and the directing was good. Like like you were saying, like it all plays into it. It's not just Chris Evans equals Captain America. That's just what it is. It's like, no, there's a lot going into that when you break it down. Like you said, if they took the time to kind of think
Robert
about it.
Downey had an illustrious career of like a bunch of like older teen movies when he was younger that were incredibly big for like your parent, like people that are older than this generation. Like, no, he had a ton in like his mid
So much
life
so
or
that
whatever,
seeing him
that he
old,
was
you're not old, but like he's later in life now, like you're not old, not Michael Caine or whatever. But seeing him older, like starting to get wrinkles and stuff, is weird to me.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's strange. He has gray hairs. Like,
And
it's just,
and for the longest time, like he had a great career, and then for the longest time, like saying his name was like, oh, you're just thinking about the tabloids talking about his drug addiction and his prison time and all this stuff, where he did have problems, and there was the time where it was kind of like, yeah, we don't talk about that guy, and like a lot of people, like if you're gonna relate something to somebody, it's like you're just talking about the last 20 years. Like he's had a whole life of things that you're just like, oh no, he's Iron Man, and like nothing else matters. It's like that's such an offensive thing to say.
I was
like,
about to say, I think
really.
it's almost disrespectful when you're like, no one else could do it. It's like you're putting kind of a disrespect on the art of it, because it's like he could do that because he was so good,
and that's just their recent perspective and bias before that, because like I was saying, older people know a whole other side of him that they're putting in their perspective as well.
And I'm trying to think, did this ever happen with characters before? Like I know it has with some, but like people like what's his name, James Bond, Sean Connery, and people like, oh, Sean Connery's only James Bond. It's like, no, like I don't think of him as that. Like, cause we're Tom Cruise has played the same character in one series for what, 25 years now. He's been Ethan Hawke for forever, but a lot of like most people don't necessarily associate him with that. Is it because he's a bad actor? No, he does really like. He's believable as Ethan Hawke when he's playing Ethan Hawke, but he goes and does other stuff too. So I get so confused sometimes by this, like, but you don't hear that. Oh wow, I can't imagine anyone else playing Ethan Hawke. It's like, yeah, I totally could. There's about 50 other actors off the top of my head that could be Ethan Hawke. Yeah, it's that. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, because it's a character and he just plays that character well. But it's just weird that people get this like about superheroes where they're just like, I don't know. I can't imagine anyone else besides Chadwick Boseman.
I don't know if that's like like a reflex of like, oh, I hope nobody else plays him because that would shatter my whole. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's a comfort thing. They're like,
that's what I don't know.
If anything changes, I'm going to be devastated. My whole world. Yeah.
But like, why wouldn't you want another actor? And I get, like,
I would want to see people trying stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of actors I could think of.
Facets of a character. That's awesome.
Well, and I think what it is it's the fear of like, oh, it wouldn't be as good, and I view this as a good thing, and I don't want to view it as not a good thing. And it's like, okay, but that might happen, but it might not.
Yeah.
Maybe then, like, people were worried about that with Spider-Man. It was like, Tom Holland did a really good job. Like, most people like Tom Holland Spider-Man. Yeah. If you had just been like, no one else is Spider-Man, we wouldn't have got Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And that's one of most people's favorites now. Mm-hmm. Most people think Tom Holland is the middle ground between Maguire and Garfield.
Really?
Yeah, usually, because most people think that like Tobey Maguire was kind of a goofy Spider-Man. Like they're like, he's harder to believe as Spider-Man.
Yeah, like, okay, he's clearly not.
You can see him as a nerd. Yeah, you can see him as like a nerdy guy and not a teenager and not really a superhero. Like just him. People don't relate him to like superhero figure, right? And then Andrew Garfield, people are like, that's like a skater. He's not a nerd. Like he's not believable as Peter. Like no one would believe that you'd pick on Andrew Garfield in high school. Not really. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just he's too much of a bro guy.
He looks way too cool to be.
Yeah, he's like a server, skater. I don't know what you put him in, but he's like more of a grungy. Like he's not like a nerd pushing up his glasses, being like, oh, how do I fix it? Not stereotypical, anyways. So that was most people's complaint. But Tom Holland, you could see people picking on Tom Holland. He's not super physically intimidating as Peter. He does nerdy pretty well.
Yeah.
And then, but as Spidey, like, and this mostly due to writing and his acting, he's a good actor. But like, he's quippy. He's still kind of fast. He's the right size. A lot of people like that about him. They're like, that's a believable teenage Spider-Man.
He finally looks like a teenager. Looks like, all right, yeah.
So a lot of people consider him the middle ground of those two because like, can't really believe Tobey Maguire is a teenage Peter Parker or a teenage Spider-Man. It's hard to believe Andrew Garfield is a teenage Peter Parker. Like those two just never matched. So, but again, all that says like we wouldn't have gotten him if the mindset that you have for RDJ and Chadwick and all these guys that did do a really good job. If you held that same view of them, you wouldn't get one of what you think is the best iteration of that character. We don't try. Like, put somebody else in there, see if they do a good job. Put Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. Maybe he'll do good.
Yeah.
Like, he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
People just go, oh, he's Harry Potter. No, he's been in a lot of stuff, and he's really talented. And he's jacked.
That side of it, again, leans into, like, maybe typecasting. Where they're like, oh, well, that's all we had seen him do. Like, Radcliffe or whatever. And so, like, oh, that's who he is. But it's like, yeah, but, I mean, that's...
Well, and
give him a chance. I mean...
to be fair to him, he wasn't necessarily a great actor in Harry Potter.
No.
So
that was his first role, I mean.
Yeah, I get that it's easier to consider him as that because, one, that's your introduction to him, and it lasted a long time, and that's where he learned to do those things. So he and the character picked up some of those ticks at the same time. Like, it was believable because it was really happening. Like, he was kind of embodying that character in his actual life because he wasn't a great actor, so he just kind of became that way. Like, not that he wasn't. That's not what I mean to say. He wasn't an experienced actor. He didn't have all those. He was figuring it out at the same time that Harry.
Yeah, he was taking like lessons and stuff during and learning from the other actors around him.
Right.
Very immersive. It was funny. He actually, when he was pretty young, he was in the Ricky Gervais show Seconds for a minute.
Really?
Did you see that? Where he because that show is about him playing an actor. Gervais playing an actor, and he's like looking for roles, and his manager getting the spots, and so he's interacting with other actors behind the scenes, and so they did that whole thing where it's like actors are playing versions of themselurs that you don't expect, and
like so Neil Patrick Harris and
it's literally that, and so it's so funny, and Steve Merchant and him, of course, doing all this stuff, and like literally they go on this, it's like a bit part on this thing, and
we're not even close to Deadpool Wolverine, by the way.
And they go on this like bus, or they're having like the catering is like giving them lunch or whatever, and like he sits down, and like Dan Radcliffe is like, he's like 15 maybe or something, 14, and they have him say all this stuff, like he's like, oh yeah, like this older actress lady that's like a dame or whatever, like a knighted lady or whatever, and he's like, oh man, what I wouldn't give to like do her up, like what the heck? They're giving him all these lines to say they wouldn't match a kid at all. It's and like he like pulls like a condom out of his pocket, and he's like showing off the thing, and then he like fires it and he hits her in the face, like just all these like situations.
I have seen that. I totally forgot about that.
That's what that's from.
I didn't know that.
They did a ton of that in that show. Like,
that's funny.
The subverting. They had Ian McKellen come on there and give him an acting lesson.
Yep. I remember that. That
was totally wasn't one, but
how am I?
Oh my god!
Like I pretend that I am. That is
what.
Yeah. I remember.
It's
that.
all like just joking. Like
I totally forgot that existed until you started talking about it.
That's a funny show. But anyway. Yeah,
but Deadpool Wolverine.
But we were talking about characters being stuck. People thinking.
So all that to say is, you guys are wrong. Okay, get right. All right,
just go to church.
Go to church. Get right. Figure out your
So then, so cameo wise, we did have X-23 come back from Logan, which is cool. It's supposed to be the same one from that as well. It's in that same universe.
Which made me wonder, like, wait, why does she get pruned?
Yeah, I don't know.
So many questions.
There's a lot of. You never know what happened. They mentioned like Daredevil had been down there, Punisher, and they'd all been killed or eaten by Lilith at some point. Somebody else I think mentioned. Then we got Elektra from the Daredevil movies, which implies that it was the Ben. What's his name? What was her Daredevil?
Ben Affleck.
Affleck, yeah. It implies that was the Daredevil that died there. And then, which would be the totally Thomas Jane Punisher, I guess.
Yeah. It was funny that she seemed totally okay with Daredevil being dead. I was like, it's
they were divorced. But
but also it mostly referenced that, but I thought about it more and I was like, it's kind of a reference too to like Elektra had none of Daredevil in it. Daredevil had a lot of Elektra in the movies, but Daredevil's in one scene of the Elektra movie. Yeah, they totally shafted him. He's in the last scene of the movie, and you see him from like afar. I don't even think it was Ben Affleck. It was just a dude in costume on the rooftop, and they like acknowledge each other, and then that's it.
Okay. Weird.
He's like not in it at all.
Okay.
And so like that's kind of funny because it's like it reminded me of that. I was like, oh yeah, Daredevil, like Elektra.
This wasn't even.
They pretended like that wasn't even a thing in the Elektra movie, pretty much.
Wow.
Which is funny because they were supposed to be in love or whatever. In
Yeah.
Daredevil.
Dropped her. There was a Bullseye, the dude in the trench coat that was bald and had like a bunch of knives and different things that people had originally thought in the trailer was maybe Blade from the TV series Blade.
Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be Bullseye because he had the little bullseye apparently up on his forehead. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
And you said Toad, played by another like a Mexican dude. So it wasn't Ray Park. So there was also the guy, the wrestler, that was the heavy, or they called him the Russian, sorry, from the original Thomas Jane Punisher. That was supposed to be him, but it was played by another guy.
I think I did see that.
And he spoke up about that, and then that guy responded apparently on social media since then. But the original guy, Kevin Nash, they played him. But there was a lady in like some leather that didn't really have much color to it either, and then she used like a pink, like, you don't know if it was energy or if it was just glowing like lariat thing, and like
maybe.
And so yeah, people were like, I mean, energy, what, like, or psionic, like maybe that's Psylocke, I don't know.
They didn't really say.
No, yeah, not really a description. There were a bunch of baddies like that. There were a lot of them that had guns. They were just in like full like desert like outfits and like cargo pants and dust shields and stuff. Right. And so it's like you don't really know with them, but some of the main ones on the ground, Juggernaut, like you said, was played by the body was played by a wrestler, and then I guess the CG like doubling and stuff was done by the guy that did. He does all the mocap, I guess, for Colossus, and then the voice from the last few movies.
Okay.
And he was doing like in some point, some kind of doubling, I guess, for maybe the CG version of Juggernaut when he didn't have much that I saw him doing, but anyway, and then he did the voice. So like the wrestler that like actually put on the outfit didn't hardly get anything except for his face for some reason. But
interesting.
But let's see, who else do we have? So we had Azazel as well. Oh wait, a Lady Deathstrike, which is played by a different character. Azazel might have been the same guy from First Class, because it was that one. It was the one from First Class.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I could look, I guess.
I'm looking right now. B-15, Pyro, Sabretooth. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Sabretooth was played by the same guy.
That's right.
Actually,
why did they? Sorry, go ahead.
The Wolverine, the Short King Wolverine, was actually a dude that was like very buff and got the role, and they just put his face on him.
Nice.
So they didn't actually like just manipulate his body or anything, like
nice,
or like the scene or anything. Yeah, it was like they actually cast a guy.
Nice.
And there was a picture he got to share finally, and was like, "Hey, yeah, I played this guy. I played Wolverine for a second."
Very cool.
So I mean, so technically there was another Wolverine.
Did you? Not did you? Sorry. Why did they have Shatterstar back as part of his group? I was like,
it's Louis Hand, man. Like, no. So
why?
Yeah, I guess when he went back, I don't remember exactly from the last one, but like when he went back and changed things, did he save a bunch of them?
He saved all of them, yeah.
Okay.
He went back and saved all of them, but like, so so why is he the only one there?
Shatterstar is like kind of a time jump or like universe jumping guy anyway. Like he probably just like always down to party, maybe. I don't know. He's just on the list now.
But like, that's just so random. Like,
yeah.
None of the other guys from the X-Force are there.
It could have been any of them. They just like, that's who they got.
We got, I'm trying to think of who else we got. We got Nathan Fillion. It was voice only.
Yeah, so going into the Deadpools, there were a bunch of names there, of
So Blake
course.
Lively was Ladypool.
Mhm.
Nathan Fillion was Headpool.
Mhm.
Matthew McConaughey was
He was the cowboy.
Cowboy. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. He's the Deadpool or the something kid. What is it called?
I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah,
I think it's
he's
just Cowboy Pool. I thought that's what it was. And then Harry Holland, Tom Holland's brother,
right.
was one of them. Azazel, that's what it was we were looking at.
Yeah, I'm looking at that
Azazel.
right now.
Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, Captain the Marvels.
Pan's Labyrinth, stunt performer. Okay, so he's a stunt
So he's
double.
a stunt dude, yeah.
But
I
no,
don't
so
think,
he's not. I don't think
no,
he's the original Azazel. So
he's not.
anyway, and then yeah, you got
Yeah, he's literally only acted in this.
like yeah, the rest of the family, like Kid
It was
Pool.
Psylocke. It says right here,
Pool.
Psylocke.
Yeah, but that's like inferred, isn't it? Like that's just what people are saying.
I mean,
I
it's
don't know.
IMDb.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bullseye.
Yeah, Kid Pool is Nathan's or no
Ryan's.
Ryan's kid, and then he got some lines, and then the baby. I don't know how that works. Like they said, the baby was their baby. They didn't put their baby in a freaking like leather suit
Well, it
and
just
sit him up on by himself on a little thing. Like
they might have because in the
it'd be kind of unsafe. I don't know.
I don't know, but in the
Like just have him just I feel like they just recorded him giggling or whatever.
yeah,
And that's it. Like that's the
but
extent of it.
they had a picture of the baby in a baby pool suit. I think it was on Instagram. I'm pretty sure, or maybe I'm thinking of a
Well,
kid.
maybe.
But anyways,
Unnecessary, but
it's super unnecessary, but it's funny still.
yeah. It says James Reynolds.
I'm checking to see if Toad is Toad from the movies or not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, that was Ray Park.
Oh, that's right. It was right.
Yeah.
Dude, I totally forgot.
Which they could like. I feel like he's
Ray
one that they could have totally,
Park.
unless he was busy. I guess he could have been busy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy, but that would have been cool.
Oh, okay. So there was a guy that said they said could have been the Blob, maybe.
Oh yeah, the guy who like looked like he had lost a bunch of weight.
Mm-hmm. And then.
That's cool.
But yeah, among the Deadpools though, there was the Deadpool 2099, for the future tech. There was like a samurai. There was a, there was they did one. One of them had the actual like original. Andy Park made sure that they did one that was like a Rob Liefeld like original suit.
Oh yeah, I saw
the
behind the scenes.
reference. Yeah, where he had the actual size, like the bigger sized eye eye protection and like the way the black like forms into the suit in front is a little different. So a lot of them were very much the same type, the three pattern um on the front or whatever for each side, like kind of the way it snapped in. And like because each movie, they kind of redesign and try to update and make a new suit for him.
Okay.
And so if you compare each of the movies, they're always a little bit different. And in this one, they had like a very specific design, except for old Nice Pool there, who had his like gold like layered. It was very fancy. And it was like latex in parts of it. It was like really glossy. But
Yeah,
but
I wasn't sure what was
the rest
up
of them
with
were
that.
very like pretty uniform. And then there was obviously Dogpool, because they were kind of going for the whole Deadpool core like story thing or a reference. I wanted to get Lady and Dogpool. And then let's see, who else do we see? There was another, wasn't there another one with like Uzis or something? And then
I know Ladypool had Uzis.
yeah, she had Uzis too.
There was so many.
But it was what's the movie I referenced? It was dressed as like basically like a circus marching band. Deadpool had like the tall hat with the palm on the front, and they had like, the stripes. What? The Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman.
There was a Greatest
Sorry.
Showman pool apparently.
Literally,
Right.
Since your question, I was trying to think.
Yeah.
My
And,
brain is not working.
and I know there was another one I noticed. There was Welsh Pool, of course, which is their. They let one of the main strikers, I guess, from Wrexham come on, and apparently he was in one of the bar scenes, sitting at the bar.
Nice.
I guess that would have been where he meets Wolverine, maybe, or it could have been the other one where the short Wolverine.
Right.
Either
Yeah, a couple of bars.
Couple of bars.
I mean, I guess Patch was in a bar too.
Yeah, true.
Technically, like a casino.
It was like a nice event. Black tie.
I did like in that little montage how all the Wolverines just fought him.
Yeah,
like Patch didn't even have a reason. He just did. He just stabbed him. And none of them had any.
Like, shut up.
There was no like.
He just he as a character is very. It's like, yeah, unexpected is not unexpected for me. Like whatever.
Well, it infers that they all know Deadpool and they all hate him. That's what it infers. Like they weren't like, "Who are you? What do you want?" Like, he didn't even say anything to him yet. He walked up and he was like, "Hey, Patch," or whatever, and he just stabbed him right away. I was like, "Oh, I picked up on that." They're like,
yeah,
that's what I thought. Like, oh, he knows Deadpool and doesn't like it. Like nobody likes Deadpool. None of the Wolverines like Deadpool
for me or whatever, because he's undercover at Patch, So
it's funny.
Yeah, there's all the different Wolverines, or the first time he appears, and Hulk, the Hulk cover. And you get the reflection off the claws.
That was cool. That was really cool. I like that scene a lot.
There's like some other iconic covers that they recreated. Different situations with the Wolverines, and then they did like one jumping out of the bus after the fight in the street. That was, I'm pretty sure, is a comic cover, because the way they posed, like I was like, that looks familiar. I'm pretty sure that's got to be a famous cover.
Yeah.
And then there was the Stan Lee cameos on the side of the bus. There was the little ad for him, which I didn't see till the second time.
Really?
Yeah. I was looking at the fight, in the bus.
Yeah. I was reversed.
Okay.
I saw it the first time, and the second time I watched it with you, I was watching the fight.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I was trying to walk real close with the fight to see if there were more variants.
Once the blood splattered on the windows, I was like, I can't really see in there.
Yeah,
so
I think that was supposed to,
so
that way, but.
That was one thing I wanted to talk about. A little sidestep from the cameos here for a second, because we still haven't talked about one of the big ones. But it was one of the things that brought it down in the ratings for me a little bit. It was a little bit. I know it's Deadpool, so it's gonna sound dumb, but it was a little over the top with like how over the top it was being, like intentional. Like I want to say it used like triple the F-bombs.
Oh yeah.
It was way more gory than either of the other two, which I don't really have a problem with inherently. Like I'm not like, oh, don't use blood or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it was just like they very much were like, hey, we don't have a limit, so let's use it. I mean,
was the second one PG-13 or was it R2?
I think they've all been R.
Okay.
I can't remember. There was a PG-13 of the second one, but I think it was also R. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. But yeah, I guess you're right, because I mean, like, even though he got ripped in half and stuff.
Well, but that's exactly my point.
I guess there was a lot more.
The second one, I could, like, the fact that we're like, was it R or was it not, tells us like, okay, clearly there wasn't that much craziness, because we can't even remember if it's R.
Yeah.
I would have no problem remembering if this one was R. Like, it was literally like 400 uses of the F-bomb or whatever, which, again, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but as the characters have been established, like, he's witty, funny, quick. It's not just everything's F you, F this, F that. It was like,
and that's funny, because I didn't realize, but they were saying like the only other F-bomb had been in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in the MCU, which I didn't realize that. I thought,
oh no, that was a big deal. I remember that.
I felt like they had dropped it a couple of times, like just, because you kind of get one per.
No, yeah.
If you want,
they'd used the finger a couple times, but I remember it being a big deal, because they were like, Chris Pratt, how did you feel about dropping the first one?
I guess Logan.
Oh yeah, Logan was full
of it, but I guess technically some of those aren't. It's like I think of them in kind of as a continuity ish, but I guess it's technically not MCU. So it's like, I guess this hasn't. And then they were like, and then now with this one, it's like 300 plus. So it's like, so now we're at 303 or whatever it is. MCU.
Yeah.
It's like, dang.
Yeah, it went from one to literally like
in one movie. Yeah. That's quite a feet.
So I'm looking up here real quick. Oh, that's the game.
They're never going to get to Tarantino level, but I'm not going to break any records there.
Let me see.
They tried.
There's a website that has a count for all these things.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
checking it real quick.
But I think so. Another one you were going to mention is Gambit. So that is apparently a similar situation
Okay.
as Ryan, where he it's a character that he's read and liked for a long time, and has also wanted to get made into a movie and wanted to play, and he's been like he's been an ambassador, not ambassador, but yeah, like a somebody that's really worked on people and like, hey man, let's do this thing, and they did almost get to the point of making a Gambit film, and then when the Disney acquisition happened, right there, they kind of got lost in the mix, and they kind of didn't move on with that, but so he got a little kind of like a little fun homage cameo to what that could have been. And got to play a fun little character, which was immediately memed to death for whatever reason. Not necessarily in a bad way, like they weren't necessarily making fun of him, but
No,
they were just like, that's pretty unique. And
I liked it.
Yeah,
for most part.
And I think his fight was really, really good. I mean, he's got dance background, so he's able to do. I mean, he maybe didn't do all the stunts, but it's like
he did
obviously, but he was, you could tell he would probably and wanted to do as much as he could. And same with Blade. I think he did a good deal of his stuff.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And he's getting old. He's getting up there.
Okay, real quick before I forget the numbers, because I just read them. The first one has about 75 F words. First Deadpool.
Okay.
Second one has a roughly 90.
Okay.
The third one has over 120. So they literally, that's just what I mean.
It's not a huge jump, but yeah.
No, I mean,
but it's quite a bit. Yeah.
But that's what I mean, is it just was like I feel like all the factors were like that. Like
70 to 100.
Violence, blood, like language, everything was just like up it, like make it all more. And I was like, it's fine. But I started to feel it after the, after the hour and 15-minute mark. I was like, all right, how many times are we gonna like?
Yeah, he says JC a lot. That one always kind of doesn't feel right for me, but
yeah, which you only did like once or twice in the first one.
Yeah, and there's like, I mean, I think it's probably the same amount of MFR and
yeah,
some of those they usually kind of balance those. Did he tell somebody the C word in this one?
Yeah.
I was like, I think that happened.
I think he's done that in all of them.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of a thing. I remember specifically.
There's a lot of other creative insults that don't make the list, but they definitely used a lot of other stuff too.
Well, that's the stuff that I was more fine, like that I'm kind of like expecting.
That's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, Deadpool being like funny about it. But I was like, I feel like it's almost overused now.
It's like he doesn't necessarily in the comics like just curse.
Right.
Like he makes a reference and be like, calls you some villain, some like despicable villain from a niche movie reference that people would be like, oh, that's a mean thing to say if you know what it is. So it's like, that's generally what he would do.
Yeah.
And
or he'd make a joke about like the artist or the creator that made your character, like how they originally drew a thing funny about that character. Like he references stuff in the history of comics a lot.
Exactly,
which they did with Rob. Knowing. They had Rob's feet store, or whatever
just
it
feet.
Was. Yeah, just feet. Yeah.
There were several. Which that was something I didn't pick up. Usually I try to look for the signs and license plates that reference. They usually have like comic issue numbers and creators, and there weren't a bunch of those in this. No, I didn't see except for that. That's like the main one.
The one that stuck out was that, and then this isn't a reference to anything. It was just funny. It was the coexist sticker on the Honda Odyssey that they're driving. I was like, that's funny.
That was ironic.
And then they splash it like when they're fighting, it gets covered in blood and it's like dripping over the side. I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny.
Good sense of irony there.
But yeah, no, a lot of those. There was a bunch of those in the second one. I feel like every street name and everything in the second was a reference.
There was a ton.
And I didn't feel like
which is more of an MCU thing. So it's funny that the MCU one didn't actually do that. But I guess they weren't on Earth that much in it, I guess.
That's the other thing. They spent half or more of the movie in the void, and then when they weren't in the void, they were in a basement
or in a woods or something. So that's true. And a lot of portals versus traveling.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Pretty much the only traveling was in the Honda
But they could have put like signs on the wall or
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was expecting more in
They
like
kinda-
the cave where they meet the quote unquote heroes or
Yeah.
whatever. I was expecting a lot more references in there, and I didn't really see any.
Mhm.
There was a couple, like there was some weapons up on the wall.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, oh hey, that could be that.
I saw some weapons for sure. Yeah, I was
Like,
looking to
I think
see.
I think they had Daredevil's cane thing, like his
Really?
cane
Oh, okay.
whip thing.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure that was up on. And then there was something else. Oh man, this is why I need to write stuff down. Because there's another one that I saw. I was like, oh, I bet that's so and so's, but they never did anything. It was just up in there. But other than that, I didn't see anything in there that was like a blatant reference to like.
Yeah, I expected as well that there would be a bunch.
Yeah, like
in there.
you would have thought that Johnny would have had like a picture of some babe or whatever up on the wall, like like they would have done something like that, but you couldn't even tell that anybody else was there. Like, it was just kind of a dungy little
Yeah.
thing.
So like even Sandra Nova's spot, like
Right.
it was like a chair
Mhm.
in in the skull, maybe.
Well,
Maybe, I mean, she probably.
Well, when
doesn't
she
sleep.
approaches,
She probably
approached
doesn't
on
sleep there, but you know.
she approached on the wheelchair on Charles's wheelchair.
Yeah,
That was the thing. But other than
that's
that,
true.
literally, that was like it.
Yeah, and then there was the what do they call it? Do this every time. The
Sentinels?
Sentinel leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got that one.
The Sentinel leg
I was ready.
that they took off on. I was like, that's got to be that. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
That was my only thought. And then that they escaped on, and then of course the ones that people had already broken down from the trailers I knew about, which all the vehicle, like the vehicles that they were traveling in, were all like from previous
Fantastic Four
MCU
and stuff like that. Yeah.
stuff, and then plus new stuff from Fox,
Yeah.
which was cool. And we had the Red Skull's vehicle and like the first Avenger like motorcycle,
Yeah.
and they had was it the ISS,
Which I was kind of
had
hoping.
the little thing from the ISS satellites and stuff.
I thought it would have been kind of cool to have, because Chris Evans appearing where he did
Yeah,
up there, how he did. I was like, that was kind of random. And like, how did he get there? And anyways, I was like, you're gonna have the first Avengers motorcycle in here anyways that Cap drove. I was like, he should have pulled up on that.
yeah.
Johnny would be riding a motorcycle for sure. It's like, and we would have been like, oh, that's the motorcycle. Oh, he's riding the motorcycle. Let's get, like, you could have added to it. I was like, that would have been cool. And then they did, which it's fine that they didn't. It was fine. I was just like, well, they already intentionally put that in there.
Oh yeah,
And he was there. So why didn't you just have him driving it?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been
fun.
That would have been kind of a cool little adding to like, oh, it's Cap. Cap's here.
It sold it a little bit
Because they
more.
very much tried to, he even has a line like he thought it was going to be Cap.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Johnny doesn't land like that. I don't think like
No.
it's a weird way, So they were trying.
Well,
very,
and-
very hard.
And he was up on top of the thing or whatever. And he walks around, but he had all the cloth stuff still on. I was like, so he didn't fly. So you're telling us that he walked all the way there.
Yes.
Because if he flown, he would have caught on fire. And he had the exterior
Just hanging
clothes
out
on.
up there.
Yeah, so I was like,
that,
like, you're just waiting?
okay.
Okay. And you
Yeah,
walked? Why would you be walking?
Yeah, he was pretty far away from where their camp was.
Yeah, it
So
didn't
what
make
was he
any.
doing
That's what I'm
out
saying.
there?
And they already set it up to where the motorcycle was in there. So just have him riding the motorcycle. It would have made sense.
Yeah.
It's just a nitpicky thing. It didn't ruin anything. It just, I think it would have been fun.
I liked the fight between them a little, like kind of. It was over pretty quick. Not like between Deadpool and Wolverine. Once they landed in the void in front of the basically Fox logo.
It was okay.
It was fun because like you were able to like stick stuff in each other.
Yeah.
With no repercussions, because that's like that's the fun thing about their fight.
Yeah.
They're not going to do too much. They're just kind of venting on each other.
I like the car one a little bit more, I think,
Yeah, it's a better fight.
because they show how it ended. And Logan just cut out the seatbelts and wrapped him up in the seatbelt. Because it's like, oh yeah, you basically would have to one of them would have to tie the other one up. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to win.
Yeah, it always has to be a stalemate.
You're right.
But no, yeah, as an actual, like that felt like a real fight.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was a real fight.
The other one was just like, like fun stuff
Kind of
they wanted
filler.
to do. They did they recreated the choreography from like the Flash Thompson Spider-Man scene.
Yeah.
There were a few different things like that.
We wouldn't notice, but we did.
He got on all fours and like bounded toward him, thing. And then he kind of like used him, like reached out and like used him and to like grab on with the claws to swing around. Like,
Yeah, that was cool.
like there were definitely references and
Oh,
when he like when he turns around and like pings the katana out, it's sticking out of it.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Dang.
that's funny.
That was good. Oh, we forgot about the scene, or we didn't. We just hadn't talked about the scene where it was kind of that guy's playing Galaga scene, but with the TVA, where he's like, that guy knows, and he like points over, and it's a dude like eyeing him from the computer or whatever, like looking at him in the new tights. It's like such an unnecessary thing, but I was like, that's the type of humor I expected from Deadpool. Like that was one of the one scenes where I was like, oh yeah, Deadpool humor. Like he's dragging somebody into it that has no business being like they didn't deserve that whatsoever.
The guy tried to like cover, and then later on you're like, oh no, he totally
yeah.
He's definitely in it.
But it's just like that type of thing, like that felt like real Deadpool humor. And I want to say there's only a few actual Deadpool humor moments. Most of it was just like I almost shock comedy.
Yeah,
like you MF for this, and I was like, well, okay, all right, fine, like whatever. But it wasn't really quippy or like one line.
Yeah,
I was like, kind of like an insult. Like it wasn't really funny. He was kind of mean. Like that was the other thing. I was like, Deadpool's kind of mean in this one, like mean spirited. I was like,
oh yeah, he's kind of like at his lowest, like or like kind of
like even when he kills Nice Pool, I was like, I mean, even the Deadpool and the other ones, like they were kind of like. They didn't care about other stuff happening, but they never like directly put anyone else in danger.
That was mean-spirited for sure.
Yeah, he was straight up just trying to kill that dude.
Just to get his guns.
Yeah. But then also it was like, and also just for the sake of the movie, they made sure he didn't have healing powers. So I was like, why would he not have healing power? I didn't know.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. Don't explain it.
Is that to do with the character he's playing? Like a reference where they're like, he's a feminist and it had so he has no... Well, he's not able to recover from criticism. I don't know, like whatever, maybe commentary, which is a weird stance for them.
It would have been,
but I don't know.
But it might have been a comic book thing. I don't know anything about really.
I don't know about Nice Pool. I don't know what that would be.
I don't know if that's a comic thing at all. Honestly, neither. It was fun for the movie though.
Yeah, I don't know though. I think he could have been left out. It would have been fine. Like they could have gone a different direction with that. They really
just had him for the dog.
And and I was like, I think they could have picked a different Deadpool and it would have been just as fine. Like, I don't think his jokes were very interesting or clever. I don't know.
One of my favorite jokes, or one of the more memorable ones to me, was when Deadpool has the dog in the void and he like turns to run through the corner and he's like, it was too dense, girl. He's like, I'm sorry. I don't know why that little line, the corn was too dense. I laughed like out loud when he said that. I was like, that's funny.
And then when he gives them the van order and then he gets the dog back and he kind of just like backs
through the corn.
Like Homer. I was like, okay.
Like way during the wave.
It was weird.
That was funny. The corn was too dense. Those were good. Like, I don't know, there was a few, but in contrast to some of the other ones, I was like, some of these feel like Deadpool and some of them feel like they're trying to be Deadpool.
Yeah,
that was the difference.
The ones where he was doing a couple of the ones where he was like, this is like this when this and this happened, were very forced at this point. Like he's done that one. It's like, all right, let's do some other stuff. It's like, we've done that joke. You clearly... It's over now.
Yeah. Well, even the Nice Pool thing, having him come back to get killed. I was like, I feel like they're just kind of redoing the Nice Pool scene again. And obviously it ended differently. Like there was a different thing, but like the dog ran up. He picked him up. He saw Nice Pool.
Yes,
like
it was like exact same scene.
Wait, we're just doing this again.
It's like maybe that was intense. That was going to be the first time he showed up, and then
there was a couple. And then they were like,
"Oh, we need the van."
Dude, that's what I'm saying. They kept kind of doubling up on stuff. Like the Aliyah thing, didn't need to double up on that.
Yeah.
Nice Pool, they really didn't need to double up on that. Like I understand he got the guns from it or whatever, but like, I don't know. There was just, there was a couple things where I'm like, they just did this scene. Even the Deadpool Wolverine fight. Like they had the first fight backed by the Fox logo.
Yeah.
And then they did it again in the van, which was fine. Like, I expected them to fight multiple times. Like they don't get along. Like they work together, but they don't work well together. Like they're going to get what they need to done, but they're going to fight multiple times. I expect that. But I don't know. It just kind of felt like, I feel like we just did this.
It's like, oh yeah. So there was that clip that was in like either a trailer or in a behind the scenes thing that they showed way before, but it was never in the movie, where he like they're walking next to each other and talking, and then he jumps on his back and then he throws him off. It's like that. Yeah, that's what I was expecting from the journey.
Way more of that.
Where he just is like brotherly fighting, where you just like without looking, just like stab him through the side.
Yeah, little brother, big brother, like you're annoying
like,
me.
You expect it for sure.
But yeah, way less of that than I thought there was going to be. But
Mm.
I don't know. There was a couple double ups where I'm like, I feel like we did this.
They were
kind of
both just
already.
very sad.
Yeah, that was the other thing is there
Unfortunately.
wasn't a lot of contrast between like their characters are different, but they were both at lows.
Yeah, they're both.
Which usually when you do a duo story like that, it's like one of them at one place in their life and one of them's at the other,
Mm.
and they were both like literally at the lowest of their
Yeah.
arts. And I was like, oh, that's kind of new. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. You don't get that a lot normally.
Like now we both have to help each other out,
Yeah.
like to bring each other out.
Also, the total cop out at the end to make sure they both stayed alive. I was
Yeah.
like, what? Come
thought-
on.
It's like, dang, that could have been a send off for somebody.
Yeah, they could have
could have
done
been
it.
perfect.
Well, like,
Great meaning behind it, and yeah.
I get why they didn't, but at the same time, being like, it's because there was two of us. I'm like, that is not good enough. Like, I don't know. I guess it is, but
That's not how that works.
there was
Because they clearly just said it didn't,
yeah.
and then they just went back.
There was a couple times where they did like they straight
These
up
guys
like
are authorities.
This is how this works, and then it didn't work like that. I was like, wait, you could have just not said that, and
Yeah.
we would have like if he hadn't have been like they literally could have just had the line like it's got an 88% chance to destroy whatever.
I've been like, oh yeah, I don't know what'll happen.
Yeah, like you could have not told us
And,
that
like,
this happened this
Yeah,
way.
instead of saying no, yeah, it's not.
But
you'll die.
They did that with something else. I can't remember. There was a scene
It's like
in
artificially
the void.
inflated, like tension.
Yeah, exactly. Where
Right.
they were like, "Oh, this is what's going to happen. Like, this is how this works," and then it just doesn't to make the next scene happen. I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Why did you do? Like, just don't
Yeah.
tell me that you
Yeah,
told
just
me.
don't.
You didn't have to tell. You just unnecessarily lied."
Yeah, no reason for it.
What did he say?
It's an educated
Educated
wish.
He just educated wished me for no reason. Like, you just.
That's good.
But it's not like it's not subversion or it's not like a setup and tear down or like
Nope.
it's just like
they're just following
unnecessary.
their own rules.
Yeah, it's just like set up a rule and then not follow it. What? Why are we doing this?
Alrighty.
Which again, it's not like end of like it didn't make
Mhm.
the movie bad. It was just like why did we do that?
Yeah.
It was like the Johnny Storm showing up. Or there was another time where she buries Wolverine with her powers.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll have my friend stab you. And she just kind of flicks and Wolverine goes in the ground and then
Yeah.
like disappears. And then he just appears behind her. And nobody said anything. Like
Yeah.
nobody was like, Sandra, look out. Or like he just appeared. Like
Sure.
you didn't hear him getting out of the ground.
Mm.
You didn't hear him approaching. You didn't read his mind or whatever. Like they didn't tell us her exact powers necessarily or her power level, but it was just like nobody saw the way we as the audience didn't see Wolverine because the way the camera was, but like
Mm.
he literally just had to have appeared.
Okay.
And it was like, why do that? You could have not done that. You could have had her just knock him out. You didn't have to have her put him in the ground and literally slide him like 40 feet away. You could have just had her fling him, like slam up against the wall. And then I would have been way easier to believe that he snuck up behind her.
Yeah.
So like, how did he get out of the ground? He was buried in the ground with his claws sticking up. Like what?
Yeah. He is in the. It's not like.
And sure, that was a cool little moment for her being like, whoa, that was a weird power. How'd she do that? But it never comes up again.
No.
And it was unnecessary. It was like, you could have just had her fling him. Just throw him, force powers or whatever.
Mm.
It's like, so there's a couple times like that where I'm like, why did you not just do that? Like, you could have just done it and you didn't.
Don't know.
But, and then there were some times where they did. I was like, oh man, if they would just, and then they would do it. I'm like, oh, yes, they did the thing. There was like 3 or 4 of those where I was like, oh, they did the thing.
Yep. Which
Like Dogpool was one of those where I was like, oh, like, man, that was all we got from Dogpool. I was like, I wish he should have ended up with Dogpool. Like he should have got Dogpool.
Mm.
And then she comes back and he does. And I was like, yeah, they did do it. He does keep her.
Yeah.
But like, so I actually did like that scene a little bit.
Yeah, I think all 3 movies have kind of delivered that in some way where you're like, there have been things where you're like, oh man, yeah, I hope that's what happens, and then they do fulfill the like, yep, that's how it should have gone.
Yep,
and they
exactly.
did. So it's like
They definitely get a lot.
There
of
were
things right.
satisfying conclusions for certain things for sure. Some of the other MCU movies do not follow any sort of expectation.
Well, that's one even in any movies that I'm always curious about that when they intentionally take and I get stuff goes through rewrites and all kinds of stuff happens, right? But still, it's always puzzling to me because I'm like, we had to watch the final cut when they do a setup and then don't pay it off. Like you can tell, like, oh, they were doing that. Like there was a cut where they paid that. Like there was another scene in there somewhere where that thing paid off.
Yeah,
but then they leave the setup in, and I'm like, why did you either not put the payoff in, or why didn't you cut the set? Like, it happens not all the time, but it's happened in like plenty of movies throughout my life where I'm watching and I'm like, oh, hey, that's a cool little setup. And then it's just like, oh, no payoff. Okay. Why did you have those characters set? Like, you just wasted 40 seconds of screen time to have them intentionally do that.
Expensive, and that's basically like,
that's what I'm saying is like, and then you watch the final cut. Like, I get missing it in like shooting or whatever. Like, oh, script supervisor gets confusing, especially with these types of timeline movies and stuff. That's tough. But then when you have like, hey, we wrote this scene to have this scene pay off, and then you don't do that, I'm like, how does that out of all things slip through the cracks? That never makes sense to me. Where I'm like, you left the line in. That line was there. Like, that's what. But
I make big problems for you.
All that to say is Deadpool usually is really good about that. Most of the things that they pay off pretty much all the things they set up. Even in this one, they do a really good job of like early on the setup for like him as a character and his arc for the movie. It's like you said, very redemption arc. And there's some stuff that happens with specific characters in the beginning of the movie where it's like, oh man, I see what they're trying to set up, and then at the end of the movie it happens, like, yeah, they did it, they did the thing.
Yeah.
Like, why can I never remember the girlfriend's name?
We're in a background. Oh, Valerie or whatever.
No, in the movie. I mean, all right, Vanessa. Goodness, man, I don't know why I can't remember that, but she was like in it way less than I thought she would be, because she was in the first one obviously a lot, and then she was in the second one a pretty decent amount. Like, I remember her being a character at least. She's barely a character in this one. Most of the people from the first two aren't. But I think that was another thing that was missing. Is I was like, oh wait, like Dopinder, and like we like made use of those characters in the second one. Like, there was some good, like, oh hey, here's this character, like Weasel and all of them. Obviously Weasel wasn't going to be in this one, but like Dopinder, and like you took the time to shoot, cast Negasonic Teenage Warhead or whatever, and Colossus, like they all appear. Yeah. But I'm like, they didn't do none of them did anything.
I was wondering why they went away from the whole Hydra Bob thing.
Yeah.
That would be a great foil, for his.
Like,
they're like, no, Peter, this is more important. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
But
I don't know. There was just a couple things where I was like, that was a choice. Like, it didn't make the movie necessarily any worse to not have him in it, but like, we had character development with Dopinder and some of those guys. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like if you'd had them involved in the story, I would have cared about that.
Yeah, he didn't get to.
Not necessarily more or less than I cared about what happened, but I would, like, you already had that built in.
Did he have a line in this?
He says the thing about like the person that left their phone in his cab. He's like, and it was this or whatever, and Deadpool goes, it's always that.
Oh yeah,
like, whatever. I can't remember.
So he got like a few more lines than that biker dude.
Yeah,
literally.
But like, and Buck was there for some reason. He was like, "Are you improving?" He was like, "Shut up! You don't have any lines."
Yeah. I cannot pay you for that. But that's a shame.
Yeah, and I like this. It's the same thing that they did with Luis in Ant-Man.
Yeah,
he's in Ant-Man. Like, he makes that movie he helps make that movie funny. He's kind of in the second one. He's got some good lines in the second one, and then he doesn't appear in the third, which I get. Like, obviously the third one happens in the quantum realm, or whatever. It would have been kind of hard, but like, that was a character in the first two movies that was relevant, and we cared about. Like, you put time into developing this so that we cared about their relationship, and then not even mentioned or on, like, he could. I think at the end of the movie, it's a birthday party or something, right? For some reason, I'm like, "Where's Luis? He's your best friend." And you've shown that, and like there's reason for it, and there's past history that you two have developed throughout your arc as a hero, and he's just not even meant. And I get, like, actors sometimes schedules and stuff, but like, I don't know if you already specifically when you already have them. Like Louise, I get a little bit more because he's not even in that movie, so it's probably a scheduling conflict or whatever, or they just didn't want to pay him. But like, they had the actor for Dopinder in every 3 scenes. Like, he was there, he was on set.
Literally.
You gave him lines already. Like, why is he not tagging along?
Yeah.
Like, man, sorry, I'm getting into like editor mode, but like, that could have been a really good introduction to pruning for Deadpool Wolverine audience. Like, if Dopinder had gotten pruned, like, because, he tries to, like, we're going to go fight in the hallway or whatever, and he shuts the door into it. But like, if that hadn't happened, if you'd sacrificed 1 or 2 of those jokes for like the introduction of the TVA's like EA, and they get pruned, and Deadpool's like, what's going on? And he has to figure that out. It's like, I would have cared a lot if you had pruned Joe better. Like I would be like, whoa, stakes are high.
Yeah.
Instead, it was just like, these are the people I care about, and I'm saving them. I was like, yeah, but that's so world shattering consequences as opposed to like the first two. Obviously, time travel was in the second one, and there was consequences, but I don't know. It felt more personal because it was actively happening to his friends around him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I mean. He was like, "This is something I have to do myself. Like I'm gonna do everything I can to save them."
Well, and how impactful would that have been? Like you were saying at the beginning of the movie, we kind of don't like Deadpool. We're like, wait, your motivations are totally wrong. You're just trying to get the girl back. But then something happens that drastic where it's like, hey, your buddy, like he just got pruned. Now you got to go to the TVA and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Or maybe it happens later on or whatever. Like he gets kidnapped or something. But then it's like, then Vanessa can see like, oh, wow, he's sticking up for his friend. Like it would have been more impactful. As opposed to literally at the end of the movie, he says he has to tell her, oh, I did this for you, by the way. It's like, I thought the whole thing was show don't tell. What are we doing?
Yeah, like that's not gonna.
Yeah, what did that mean to her?
It's not gonna mean any point. Yeah,
because like from our perspective, it's like, oh wow, he just went through all this, and like we get it. But it's like she didn't see you do anything.
Yeah,
for all you know, she knows, and you are a known liar.
Yeah.
The only thing she knows that's different is that Wolverine's here, and she doesn't know.
Sure, man. So anyway, I'm getting married next month.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
okay.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just there were some things like that where I'm like,
that's true. I don't know what was going to happen after that or what that meant.
Yeah.
He should have just been like, "Hey, I'm doing a little bit better and I'm trying again."
Yeah, it's just been a like play for her.
Yeah,
she's been like, "Hey, I've learned that not everything I do needs to be for you. I need to do things for me."
Yeah,
that should have been the arc.
That should have been it. Yeah,
because even at the end of the movie, the thing that we didn't like about him at the beginning,
and then she might respect that even more. Like,
yeah, for sure,
100%.
Because his motivations still were, I need to do this for her, and I was like, yeah, we get that you like her, but like her problem is that
for you, like
you don't have a path. Yeah, you need to figure out you, man. Like you lost you somewhere along the way. Go find yourself. Like that's and that's normally a second movie arc thing, like Spider-Man 2 or whatever. Where it's like, I'm not Spider-Man anymore. I'm just Peter, and then
he's doing like damage control.
Yeah,
in that one kind of, and recovering whatever he can. But
right,
yeah.
Well, and she dies in that one, so
yeah.
There was less interaction from that.
How do I then F whatever just
yeah.
But
no, I don't know it. I don't know. There's just some things where I was like, it was unique to go the route they did when they already had the ability to do the thing that most movies do, which, again, it's not a problem. It wasn't bad. It's just like I said, if they hadn't had Dopin or whatever, they were like, oh, yeah, he's off doing whatever. He just mentions him like he did with Cable. Like he literally, which Domino completely forgotten, not even mentioned. Yeah. At least he says the thing about like, oh, Cable didn't pull well with the fans or whatever he said. Like, but
oh yeah, he like fully dissed him like after being like, oh, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's a total Deadpool thing. Like, I want the thing that I want, and then he gets it. He's like, nah, not that great. Need the next thing that I want. He's like, that's a Deadpool thing for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like Marvel does tend to do that sometimes, where they're like, look at all this potential that we have. Waste. Why? Also, that poor actor. I don't feel bad for him. Like, I don't know him from anything else. Maybe he's in other stuff, but like, that's probably a pretty big role for him. I imagine the first and the second one were a big deal for him. And he, yeah, I don't know who it is, but like,
yeah,
he's
no, he did like sketch comedy, stand up. Like he's a comedian, and then he's done some TV shows since then, like commercials, like a whole bunch of stuff. So like that was definitely big for him, and he did really good. Like he's really fun.
Yeah, I liked him, but all that to say is like he's still probably one of the bigger things that he's done.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of a bum. It's got to be a bummer for him where it's like, oh, so I got
the reunion call. That's it.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
I got 60 lines in the first movie or whatever, and I got 120 in the second. Here comes 300 or whatever. It's like 2. Wait, what? What happened?
Yeah,
I had a trajectory. I was doing so good. I would be kind of bummed about that if it was like, hey, you were pretty important in the first, like you had some scenes, and then you had some more scenes in the second one, and you were like part of the team.
Yeah, maybe something.
Like, in the third one, one scene, you'll be all right. You have 1 day of shooting.
Yeah.
What?
You share this with an extra.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. That was a funny line that Deadpool had. He's like, Wolverine's like marching towards the Deadpools to find him. He's like, "Wait, let the extras clear the scene." And like all the extras running away.
Exactly. So
It's
that's
like,
stuff I like to see.
yeah,
That was good.
that was a good one. I was like, "Ah, yeah, Deadpool being Deadpool, nice."
Yeah.
Love those.
I don't know what you mean, but okay.
Yeah, Wolverine just brushed off like, I don't, whatever. I would have liked some more reactions out of Wolverine for some stuff.
Yeah,
It did feel like stuff was happening to Wolverine a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, weird. Wolverine's a pretty reactive character. Like, as a character, he's not one to just let stuff slide necessarily. And I feel like that happened not all the time, not every scene, obviously, but sometimes where I was like, oh, Wolverine didn't have a reaction to that. That's weird. Okay.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, whatever.
It did have some good heartstring tugging scenes in this movie, though.
Sure.
Like the campfire scene with him in X-23. I was like, ooh, nice. Good scene. Very well done.
I was a little thrown off by that one because at the end, like the one from the trailer, as she walks away, she finishes the line. And in this one, they cut that out until they do the flashback when he's in his head at the end. And then they add the line back in. I was like, so did they just cut away in our cut of the movie?
Yeah, that was
before,
weird.
and she still said it?
Yeah, she definitely still said it to him.
Why would you cut away from that? Like, that's a pretty impactful. It's like, you were always the wrong guy. And then they just cut and he's like, all right, now we're in the mission. It's like, dang, that's like depressing, unless he really got that from it. But it's like, when you add until you weren't, that changes the whole frame of that scene, the context of that line.
It's one of those things where
it's like, why would you cut that out of the actual final cut? It's weird.
It's one of those things where we were talking about this with
this is going to spoil whether he shows up. It's like, no.
Well, not even that. It's just one of those,
he has to show up. So like, this is the motivation for him to show up with the team.
It's a choice that's happening more and more. Like we talked about this a little bit with the boys. When it shows him pouring the thing, like I've talked about this multiple times now, but he's pouring the thing into his cup, and then it shows him pouring more into another, like, visible cup that's in front of him.
Mm.
And then in the next scene, the cup's gone, and it's like, oh wow, he was pouring for nobody. And it's like, you could have just had the shot pour above the cups and then zoom out, or like show us the same scene twice.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the same thing where it's like they basically edited it to where it's a different scene each time. It's like, that's a different, like you said, that line changes that scene.
Mm.
Like you could have had her say it and him kind of ignore it or not. It kind of brush off or whatever. Like you could have done it where we see the whole scene.
Yeah.
And she walks off after saying the whole line.
And then he thinks about it.
And then he thinks about it in the moment later when he's doing the thing at the end of the movie. I'm like, that would have been fine. And
then the immediate next thing is like them rolling up the blade blows a hole in the hands.
Yeah.
They come through in slow motion.
Yeah.
Drift in. They all come out in slow motion. It's like epic with fire. And then it stops.
Yeah.
And there's a beat. And then the trunk opens and they do the music again. And he's coming out. And he's like, haha, I'm here too. Like, why?
It's totally for the fans.
But it didn't make any sense. It's like, wow, I was secretly snuck in the back. Why?
Well, no,
just come out with them. It would be cool. It was
just a bad way.
Oh, I changed my mind because of what she said.
Well, the way you do that scene is you have them go with it. It's the Han Solo, right? They go and they start the battle without him. They start losing the battle. Wolverine shows up. They start winning the battle.
Okay, you can do that. They didn't do that either.
That's what I'm saying. That it was a bad version. That's what
it was a poor version.
That's what I got from them. They were trying to do the Han Solo
have him
wow, Wolverine's here now. They're okay.
Okay, I did change my mind.
Exactly.
That's a cinematic trope.
They have Juggernaut about to smash X-23,
and his
all of a sudden his hands get he gets lifted up, and they're like,
exactly.
"Oh, what's happening?"
That's
to Juggernaut?
A big change and turn of time.
That's how. But they just did it. That's what I'm saying. They did the thing.
That's weird.
And they just didn't do it like they didn't decide to do it how they.
Yeah,
they would have gotten the end result better.
Basically, like I was saying, like I just didn't understand that progression from
the
campfire.
Were we supposed to believe that they didn't know he was in the trunk?
Yeah,
that was one thing.
He just wrote silently, just like giggling to himself.
That's what I'm saying. Why would he not let him be? He was in the same vehicle. He has to show up separately. He's
such a nonchalant character, like a cool guy, tough guy. Like why would he not want to just sit in comfort with them?
No, there's no. It doesn't make sense. That scene, and also
I don't like that.
The first thing I thought, even before the very first time I was watching it, when he steps out, I was like, Wolverine's like 400 plus pounds. They would have known he was back there. Like, why is the van dragging? There's no way they would not have known Wolverine's back. And even if you're not doing the canon, like, oh, he weighs as much as the adamantium skeleton or whatever, like, it's still noticeable. Wait, like
Yeah.
a minivan's still a minivan, and they were 6 deep. That makes a difference. When you're 5 deep or 6 deep, that makes a difference, or whatever they were. I think they were five. Yeah, 2 girls, 3 guys. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, it just didn't make sense. Nothing about it. Like, there's way better ways to do that scene. You said, have him leaping over the wall and tackling somebody who's about to shoot Gambit or whatever.
Or the reveal where he like takes out a guy that's about to take out somebody. You're like, oh no.
Or save that sneak up on Cassandra Nova that he did the first time and have him fly like Deadpool's trying to fight Cassandra and she gets him, right? And Deadpool and Wolverine flies in with the helmet.
Yeah,
and tackles her or whatever. Like there's so many good ways to do that.
Normally they would have done that.
Yeah, the good guys are losing because they don't have the piece that they need because he's down and out. He's on solo, right? I'm not helping. I did my job already.
They didn't even try really. Like they didn't have him walk past Daphne and be like, you know what, that made sense, kid, or something. You know, like anything.
No, he just like
anything at all.
Just walks up.
Yeah. They're
and
just like,
you see her
cue the music again.
You see her reaction. She smiles and puts the sunglasses on or whatever. You see her, but you don't see anything between the two of them. Like, thanks for saying that. Like, you got me here or whatever. And you get that later when he's grabbing Deadpool's hand.
Is that when they say it the second time? Like, let's effing go or?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they did do another catchphrase before the fight, but no, it wasn't.
And I'm still upset about the lack of chimichanga.
Yes, I know.
Accumulation over 3 movies.
Still no chimichangas. I don't get it.
Why leave that out?
Why?
Doesn't make sense. You added so many things. Just some of the choices, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not, and again, it's not that it's bad. Like, that scene wasn't bad. It was like, oh, hey, cool, Wolverine's here. We're going to get some of this, like, they built around it. It was fine, but it was like, that wasn't done well. It could have been done well, and it just wasn't. And it's like...
Did they do pizza in, like, one of the first couple, maybe?
The first movie?
Yeah,
maybe the first scene before he becomes Deadpool is him. He orders the pizza to the guy's house who he goes to beat up, and he's like, I took a dump in your cat litter or whatever. He's like, I don't have a cat. He's like, anyway, moves on or whatever.
That's
like,
right.
The pizza delivery guy.
So
shows up.
like that's accurate to some stuff as well. But like, yeah, there's no reason. It's like there's no reason to be like, aha, I'm a fan of hot dogs. And what? Okay. They just replaced chimichangas, but they didn't do that. Yeah, it was just like, just nothing.
It was just,
okay.
I guess they just aren't a fan of that.
And then they brought in shawarma as a reference to Avengers. But, I mean, it didn't really impress that much.
I mean, they could have done anything. They could have just had him eating, like at the end, I think they're eating pizzas at the end of the third one. When they're all sitting around, I think they're eating pizza. I'm like, you could have just had him eating chimichangas. You could have just done that. That would have been nice.
Made
or just have him with a shirt on. I heart chimichangas or anything.
Have the Gopinder be like, hey, I'm actually a really good cook and it's like making chimichangas for everybody or something, whatever. Yeah.
The more I say the word, the weirder it gets. It's one of those things.
I've never had a chip. No, I was no, but
dude, I had one in Colorado.
Really?
Right before I went to see them, or right after, I can't remember. I was like,
yeah, see, that should have been like an AMC companion food, dude, or something with
that. Would have been so bad, but yes.
True. Or churros or something.
I don't know, man. But yeah, there was a couple things where I'm like,
tacos?
Yeah, right there. Right.
Anything.
He's a big taco guy.
Yeah. But
we did get some things. We got Wolverine, big, huge. We got Gambit, loved that. We got Dogpool, loved that.
Yeah.
We got so many other things.
Blade was huge.
Elektra was more funny than it was like, yeah, Elektra. Like I was like, that's kind of random. Like, oh yeah, she was Fox. Like,
I like seeing Happy. Happy's always fun.
Happy was in there. Forgot about that.
A bunch of references in that room. Yeah. They had the little the perpetual motion art piece or whatever. Like ground, because it was annoying on Pepper's desk.
Yeah. They did the Spider-Man thing where they had the scene with Tony and Peter, but they had Peter's side covered up because they don't have Spider-Man. It was like nice, like
show him.
But people who know. Like I was like, that was a Spider-Man reference. Like that's what that, because obviously Deadpool would be making tons of Spider-Man references. Yeah, but he can't.
I know. See, that could be a team.
But like even that, they slid those little things.
Hopefully they'll like in Secret Wars they'll like see each other and like, hey, we had some good times or something. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I don't even know if the current Spider-Man and Deadpool would be a great team up.
True.
It would be kind of weird.
Yeah, it would be
right
weird.
now, Deadpool's like 40 something.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to look up to Spider-Man. Like he's supposed to kind of admiration for Spider-Man.
That's fair.
Because they're roughly, closer in age. Like Deadpool's a little I would
Yeah, I know he's doing like midlife crisis stuff now.
Yeah.
Versus like,
Versus Peter's
oh,
like
I'm a
21.
goofy, like childlike
Yeah,
adult
yeah.
or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, there's so much you could do. Like, this is the thing about the MCU is it's kind of been on like the verge of collapse, as some people think. Like it's been on the downward spiral, we'll say.
Hmm.
But at any point, you really could have just the best ever because you can do. There's so many things you could do with Marvel that it's like you could instantly revive it if you did it right. Like, I don't know, Deadpool is a good start for sure, but you could do, like, speaking of Spider-Man, I was like, what Spider-Man villains haven't we seen him face? And the answer is a bunch.
Yeah.
So many. We haven't seen a live action good Scorpion.
Mhm.
They had the reference or whatever.
Yeah.
The one with Vulture. Finally, we did get a Vulture. We haven't had a good Craven, or not even a good one, but really any.
Yeah.
We haven't had, like, I don't know. We keep rehashing like Green Goblin, Venom, Doc Ock. It's like we haven't had a current Doc Ock. We got the Spider-Man 2 Doc Ock back, but like, there's so many ones that I'm Chameleon. We haven't done a Chameleon. He hasn't fought Kingpin.
Oh.
Like, they're doing the Daredevil Kingpin thing, but like, there's so many.
Literally, all of these are like the Spider-Verse movies are already doing like way better. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
They're
like,
getting into that.
We haven't had a good Daredevil Spider-Man team up. We haven't had a good. Oh man, who else? I was thinking of one earlier. That's why I'm struggling because there was a specific one that I was like, oh no, it'd be great to see in live action. There's not been a Black Cat.
Yeah.
There's been Felicia Hardy mentioned or whatever. Like, she's been a character in something, but there hasn't been that. Like, oh man,
I know.
there's so many. There's so many that haven't even been touched, and it's like, why do we keep rehashing these things and just being like, oh, we'll just do this again and try to make it better? I'm like, no, just do something new. Like, if you did it fresh.
Yeah.
Not even Spider-Man. There's heroes that we haven't even done yet.
Tons of heroes, yeah.
And they're about to redo Fantastic Four, which is fine, great. I love the Fantastic Four, but it's like, that's your big play. Your big play is like, oh hey, a thing that we had 2 adaptations of, and neither of them were like, the first one was okay and the second one was awful. It's like, let's try it again. It's like, no, do something that, like, when they did Punisher, the TV show, it was like, this is how you should do Punisher. Punisher should be a show.
Yeah.
Punisher should be a show and a side character who pops up. Like, a Punisher Spidey team up would be awesome. Or like Punisher hunts Spider-Man or whatever. Like, that would be cool if he like appeared. I don't need another Punisher movie because you're just going to retell his backstory again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't need that. But the show, you can do like episodic, like, oh, what gang is he taking out this week type thing. Like, you can do stuff like that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Or like this season or whatever. But that's why this MCU so excites me so much, but it's also
Punisher and Hulk.
Right? That would be cool. I'd be down with it. But I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. Like, there's so many things that they haven't done. They haven't done a good Carnage. They haven't done.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the old Spider-Man animated show. I'm like, how many bad guys did he face like every week?
Oh yeah.
And Kingpin was big in that one, by the way. Oh, Alistair Smythe.
That's nice. Yeah.
They haven't done that.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced him as a character played by B.J. Novak.
Mm.
In the Amazing Spider-Man. He like bumps into him or whatever.
Yep.
He bumps into Harry or something like that.
Well, there's like a ton of those, like
Hobgoblin.
Like the Norman Osborn
Hydro
thing.
Sorry,
yeah,
they're coming to me now. Now that I said the animated series, now they're all popping.
I kind of like the storyline where Norman Osborn is like stuck, like he's taking over and like winning people in the city's affection, taking like eyes off of some of them. Yeah, and then he used his whole affiliation to set up his whole thing, and then like Justin Hammer sets up the Dark Avengers, and like there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens that flips.
Oh, they did Electro. That's how bad Electro was in the second one. I forgot they did Electro.
But yeah, you said Hydro Man. We had so many options.
There's so many
like that they can pull from still,
and like they don't even touch. They just keep rehashing Green Goblin.
It's like, I get that. Yeah, you want to take your time and like build into a character, and you don't just keep adding a bunch. But yeah, they're also just regurgitating.
Can I say one thing that really bothers me about the new Spider-Mans? Harry. The total absence of Harry. And I understand that they were doing like the Oscorp's not in this world thing. Like they added that with No Way Home.
Okay.
Right? Because Norman's like, I looked for my place and it's not here. Like the Oscorp's not even in the phone book or whatever it is he says. But I was like, but that's kind of like a pivotal part of Spider-Man.
That is.
Like his best friend becomes evil.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. And like, I guess they could do that with Ned or whatever, but it's not going to be as impactful.
Yeah,
it's not,
that's where they're like, oh, maybe he'll be Hobgoblin.
yeah, and it's like, but Hobgoblin doesn't mean as much because Hobgoblin meant something because Green Goblin meant something.
Yes.
Green Goblin meant something because it was Harry's dad originally.
Yes.
And Harry's dad was important because Harry was Peter's best friend. Now you don't have any of those components.
Any of it.
So why is it going to matter? Like, you can still make it matter for sure because they could totally do the Ned, like, I remember that you said you promised me you'd come back for me and you didn't. Like, yeah, that's okay. That's an arc. Sure. Right there. But is that as good as Harry's dad being Green Goblin and then Peter killing Harry's dad and then Harry figuring it? Like, that was a really good storyline in the first 3 movies with Maguire. I don't know.
Yeah, that was an impactful arc.
But that's what I'm saying is we're missing that. That was cool, not just because it was those things, but because it hadn't happened yet. If you just did that again, I still wouldn't be like, oh, wow, that was great. But you could do the, like, this is what happened, now here I am storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, okay, now we have Hobgoblin because, like, this is after all the Green Goblin and Green Goblin 2 and all this stuff, right? And you could do, or like I said, Felicia Hardy. There's a big, like, especially right now because of the games, Black Cat's in the games and people are, like, a fan of her or whatever. Yeah. Like, you could definitely introduce her and make that a thing.
Well, what do you think their plan is going forward with that anyway? Because, like, nobody knows who Spider-Man is now.
Can I be totally honest? I don't think they have a plan. I don't think the word plan was in their plan when they made that movie. Like, I don't know. What would it be?
What would they possibly be setting up for him just to not exist in the universe?
Well, I mean, that's happened in the comics. Yeah. Everybody forgot Peter Parker was Spider-Man. All his friends and everything. That's happened before. But they're clearly not doing that because it didn't happen how that happened. Like, yeah. It's just like they took that one aspect from that comic and that's it. So I was like, I couldn't tell you what they're going to, like, if they were following the storyline of that, then there's a pretty clear arc, but it's happening at totally different times in Peter's life. And a lot of the characters involved with that story aren't in the MCU. So
I guess maybe he's going to try to live a normal life with them or at college or whatever, but then he's going to get pulled back into it by something catastrophic again, maybe.
So they could do the leave Spider-Man behind thing, but from what I got from it, I thought I was leaning towards the, like, he's doing this so he can continue to be Spider-Man. Because if he wasn't going to be Spider-Man, why would he leave them behind?
No, for sure.
So, like, I was thinking they'll do, like, the solo.
Okay.
And I was like, that would be cool if they did that and he's not doing good. And then, like, Daredevil comes in and helps him out or whatever. Yeah. But then I was thinking about it, I was like, well, they kind of did that with Iron Man already. Like, he kind of already had that arc, so they probably won't do that. So I was like, well, what are you going to get from Peter being a loner? Because we already did the loner thing. Like, he had to become Spider-Man on his own because he was relying on Tony, and Tony was always there. And then that was a big thing in the first one. Yeah. Like, Tony saved him until
I guess they're going to do the Miles coming through and he gets to be a mentor or something. I don't know. Like,
but that's the thing is, like, you could do that, but
his uncle being around.
In college. Well, you don't want Peter to be a mentor in college. Like, we've barely seen Peter be Spider-Man.
But he has to be, like, he has to pretend to be older or bigger than he is as Spider-Man, right? Like, when he's doing that persona. So that you would know him as him, maybe.
Yeah, but even
maybe like,
still,
oh, I'm a fan. I want to be a Spider person.
In universe, Spider-Man's been around and active for 6 years.
Okay.
Well, 10 or 11, but 5 of them he had disappeared. Yeah. Because remember, there's that stupid time jump from in-game. So that's the other thing. So how old would Miles be? 18 or would Miles be 14 or whatever? Or 13 when this is going on? Like, it would make sense.
I don't know. In Secret Wars, aren't they about the same age almost? Like, or a little bit?
No.
I felt like in that story they were both like full size dudes, like in the suits.
I don't think so. I always I don't know. I never thought about that. I don't know. I associate Miles being a teenager.
Right.
Because to me, he's still so new. Like, I don't know. He's the young one and Peter's the old one.
Yeah.
You know? But it's
like not,
Flash.
I don't think it's the same.
I do this with Flash all the time.
But it's not his Peter, I don't think.
I'm like,
right?
Wally's the kid and Barry's the Flash. But, like, now that's not even true. Like, Wally is the mentor now. Like, he's been the mentor. He's almost like not obsolete, but like he's like way OP now.
But I think
so. I don't know.
But it would be it's a different one, right? It's a different Peter in that storyline.
Yeah.
So it's not.
dude.
It's not the same situation as like in the Into the Spider-Verse series, where it is a much older.
Well, yeah, because all the
Peter B.
timelines,
Parker or
all the
whatever.
timelines are so convoluted in that story because they're pulled from different points. Like it's heroes from different things, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe they are both the same age.
Yeah.
But the relationship isn't the relationship between like Peter
Yeah,
and
they like
Miles
just
whatever,
meet
Miles and
basically.
Peter. Yeah.
Right at the beginning of that.
So well, because it's Peter from a universe without Miles, right?
I think so.
Yeah. It has to be. It has to be. So that's why it would be like, because otherwise he'd be like, wow, you're grown. Yeah, no.
He's like, they just kind of basically like, oh, you're a spider person too.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to do a oh crap, what's his name? Oh my gosh, it's gonna piss me off so much. Hold on, I gotta look this up. Cover for me.
Who is it?
Oh no.
Pressure.
That'll definitely help me remember.
Yes. From like related to Spider-Man?
Yeah. Moreland. Moreland would be dope.
Who's Moreland?
He's like one of the big supervillains for Spider-Man. He came around a little bit later. He was let's see, when was he introduced? 2001.
Okay.
So he's a little bit later.
What is he?
He is a creation of John Romita Jr. No, he did that.
Is he a robot or?
No, he's a vampire. Sorry.
Oh.
But he's yes. No. But he's
okay.
I guess he would be like the Dracula of. But Dracula is in the MCU or something, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyways, he was like Spider-Man's. Yeah, he's the OG in this. Like in relation to Spider-Man, he's the OG, and he's like super. He ruined, like, everybody ruins Peter's life, but he like super dismantles Peter's whole existence. You want to say, was it Spectacular Spider-Man that he was, or Amazing Spider-Man? It's got to be Amazing Spider-Man. Spectacular was the Doc Ock thing, right? I don't know. It's all messed up in my head. I'm pretty sure it was Amazing Spider-Man in the early 2000s was his thing, but he's like super overpowered.
Recent,
like he like. Because the thing that they did in this was like the thing was always Peter's holding back, right? Because when he fights somebody like Doc Ock, who's just a human with arm, like he can't touch him or otherwise. Yeah. But like Moreland's like way more powerful and Spider, like he can't hold him.
Okay.
And they kind of did the same thing with Kraven at one point, where they were like, "Well, this is another." Every time they do it, like Venom, like every time they introduce the new big bad, they kind of do this. But I just really like the Moreland stuff.
Okay.
Who does he kill? He kills like a bunch of people, but I meant in relation to like his Spider-Man's girlfriends. I want to say, let's see. Yep, okay, that was right here. The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, June 2001. Yep, Straczynski. That's right. Okay. Let's see. The collection of these comics is called The Amazing Spider-Man Coming Home. Okay. It was the Amazing Spider. I couldn't remember for some. When I said Spectacular, I was like that.
So, yeah, I think that's 80s, something like that.
Well, I mean, there's been a bunch of different iterations of all of them, but I just remember that I was thinking of the title specifically when I was reading the comic. Okay, and I couldn't remember if it was. But yeah, it is. It's one of the Amazing Spider-Man stories. Coming home, but it's got a big impact on the multiverse stuff. Like, he's from a different Earth. I can't remember which one. But that's his whole name. He travels around killing different spider. Like his mission is like kill all. Okay. I don't know if it's all Spider-Man or I can't remember exactly, but he travels and kills a bunch of them. So that was when it was introduced, when multiverse was not really like it is now, where it's like the main thing in all the storylines. This is kind of one
actually having to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then obviously it takes place in the 616 with our Peter, where it's like, oh wow, he's killed all these Spider-Man, he's gonna kill ours, and then he does at one point, and I can't remember exactly how it goes down. I'll have to read that again. It's right over there. Okay. But it's I say right over there. The Spider-Man folder right there. It's in one of the ones in that folder.
Go. Check that out.
Anyways, we can.
But yeah, I think
get back to
that was good Deadpool talk. We definitely didn't get off track there. Again.
No. Yeah,
that one was tertiarily related, of course, but
well, we're not going to just stay on subject the whole time. That's just not how we roll.
No. But yeah, all in all, only positive things to say about Deadpool. We liked it. quite a bit. Obviously, very high, despite negatives. Very high on our MCU list. I'm sure. Where would you put it? Like out of like top
Oh, dude,
top like 20% still or 50.
in this phase, it's number one in the most recent phase.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it blows all the other ones out of the water. Well, to be fair, I haven't seen the Marvels yet.
Yeah.
But that tells you something. But yeah, since No Way Home, it's probably the best one since then. So for whatever that's worth, I'd put it somewhere around Age of Ultron. Like I thoroughly enjoyed Age of Ultron the first time I saw it, and then every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, it does have some holes, doesn't it? I feel like that's gonna be this, where it's like every time I rewatch it, I'm gonna find something probably, but it probably won't hold up quite as well as the others. But I still thoroughly enjoy it. Like most people don't like Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
I have it much higher on my list than pretty much everybody I know, just because when I first watched it, like I really enjoyed it. And I can't really tell you why. I don't know what it was. If it was just timing or whatever.
It was the end credit scene with the twins.
Yes. No, that was a big deal. But
no.
Well, no, they were already in that one.
And
they were in the scenes.
That's right. It was the end credit for another one.
Yeah. Avengers. Right. No, wait. Was Avengers Thanos? Avengers was Thanos. The final do it myself, right? The first Avengers.
Yeah.
And then, so where were they introduced? Oh, Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Was it Winter Soldier?
It would have been the end of Winter Soldier, right? Because he tore everything down. I think that's right. Yeah, because then the next movie would have been. It doesn't matter. Our timelines are. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've gone all the way through the MCU, which is getting harder and harder to do because it's so much longer.
22 movies or something.
Right. It's way more. It's like 27 or 28 now. So. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, 27.
So yeah, I would say somewhere around there. So not top 10 or anything like that. Top 20 of the. You know, it's inside. It's upper middle half, whatever that word is.
So over 50%, top 50%.
If there's 30 movies, it's like 15, 14, 16, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So what about you?
I'd say top 50%. That's what I was thinking. And I think I'm okay with that. There's good action. You come back and have some fun with some humor and some action.
We're wrong. There's 34 MCU movies.
34. Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah, we were. I mean, not way off, but I was thinking.
Remember the 12 in Phase 5.
Yeah, right.
But they did say they were over.
Oh well, maybe this is counting ones that haven't come out yet. So I'm not sure. Okay. I just Googled it. So
is it counting Fox stuff?
I don't know.
From previous.
Maybe. But I'm checking it right now.
Or Sony. Sorry, Sony stuff.
The Infinity Saga, Phase 3. What? Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4.
Yeah, so what was in Phase 5 so far?
Bro, who even knows? Who cares? Okay, so Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Well, but it's not on that list.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I wanted to try to remember, see if I could remember them before I do it. So there's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. No Way Home would have been before that, right?
Yeah. That's enough.
So the Marvels.
Yeah. I feel like there's some stuff before stuff.
Is there?
I think.
Multiverse of Madness? Would that have been?
Yeah, that could be, yeah.
Nope. Multiverse of Madness is 4. I'm looking at 4 right now.
Really?
Yeah, so 4 is Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Eternals, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever.
Oh.
Which I would, yeah. So
that's
4 and 5 have merged in my brain, apparently. So I'll just skip to 5. 5 is, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians 3, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh, this is why we can't think anymore, because they haven't come out yet. Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Round out.
Yeah,
Phase
so
5.
there's hardly anything in 5.
No, 5. Huh. 5 is, we're in the middle of 5. We just got 3 out of 6.
Okay.
So, or no, 3 out of 5. And then Phase 6 will start with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And then supposedly Blade, which isn't going to happen, as we know, because Deadpool and Wolverine told us. And then the 2 Avengers movies.
Yeah. He's like, man, this is the only... I'm gonna be the only Blade you ever gonna see.
Are they still gonna do Armored Wars? I remember that was kind of a thing.
I don't know about that, because then it was gonna be a show after a little while,
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they changed it to a show on Disney Plus, and then Ironheart as well. And then they kind of folded that. So we'll have to see whatever they do. They said they're going to kind of slow down production again and like do only a few per year, which is good. So hopefully they'll kind of get a grip on what they're wanting to do again.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I know they were
a bit more steady with their.
I'm excited that they're not doing as many. That does make me happy. Like, okay, as long as they're better. Like, if you're just going to do less and they're as bad as they've been,
that should help. Yeah,
right.
Give them more time.
But that's the assumption, right? Is like, oh, hey, we have more time. We can be more intentional and focused. Because I think he said 4 a year, right? 4 or 5. If there's an Avengers, then a 5th one or whatever.
Well, they would do like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Originally,
which is good.
Which is fine.
Which is good. Because like phase 3 and 4 is where it got wild. I'm pretty sure where there was like 8 or whatever. It was like every 2 months there was a Marvel movie. It's like, why are we releasing a Marvel movie in February? What's going on? I don't know when it was, but you know what I'm saying. It was just a lot. So, but I think the assumption is that they'll get a lot better. I'm just not convinced. Like, I would like to see it I would like to see the plan in action. Like, does slowing production down actually improve story? Because we're not going to be there yet. Like, everybody thinks that means that Brave New World and not Fantastic Four. What did I say the other one was? Brave New World and something else are going to be in this phase.
Thunderbolts.
Everybody thinks that's going to be those. Those have been done. Like that this new phase of Marvel isn't going to be in effect until the movies that weren't in production get made. Yeah. That's what, roughly a 2-year window, somewhere around 12 to 18 months, something like that.
Well, we've got Craven this December, right?
That doesn't count then. It's a
Sony movie. Is Sony. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
No, I wasn't laughing because you're wrong. It's a Sony. I was laughing because I wouldn't have, even if it was an MCU, I wouldn't have even considered that to be one just because who cares?
Sometimes my brain does that. It's like it conflates Marvel characters with just Marvel.
Me too. I do that all the time. Like, that's why I said I wasn't laughing at that part. I was laughing that Craven they would do that.
I was like,
it's believable.
Like, something else. Like, oh yeah, no.
No.
Well, no, I was thinking like, for some reason, I thought Lobo for some reason was on the X-Force for some reason, and I was like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, kind of like, I don't know who I was thinking of. I was thinking of the Warpath or whatever the guy's name is.
Oh yeah,
or something that was on. Wasn't he in the X-Force?
X-Force, yeah.
But
Warpath, he's been in X-Men, X-Force.
I don't know why that like Lobo popped in my head.
I could see the confusion.
Yeah, I mean, he and Deadpool would be a pretty good crossover. Actually.
That'd be fun, yeah.
But he and Wolverine,
Dude, there's so many that you could do between the two because they're all parallels of each other, or not all, but most of them. But no, I say all that say everybody assumes that Brave New World and Thunderbolts are going to be better because it will have been like they're releasing 6 months apart or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that doesn't necessarily hold true. Like maybe, but also consider that Brave New World's been in production for almost 3 years.
Yeah,
and it's had like 18 billion reshoots and rewrites. Like just going off of generally speaking, when movies do that and they have a super high budget and you have to rewrite them 3 and 4 times, they do not hold up.
They're like kind of keep the pieces together at this point, and just
like they're now they have to spit it out because it's not worth it to scrap the project because so much they got Harrison Ford, they got Anthony Mackie, they got all these guys. Like they've already, like I said, they've been in post production for like almost a year.
I can't believe the final character we're gonna see Harrison Ford play for 10 years is a mocap face for Red Hulk. that was not on my bingo card.
No, that was not on my bingo card. But yeah, so I don't know.
Until he dies.
Just don't get your hopes too high for the next couple movies. I would expect Doomsday to be affected by these new changes. Yeah. Like Doomsday should be good.
I like
Doomsday's not good, something's wrong.
I like the idea of Thunderbolts and a lower end, like a low stakes team up movie.
If Thunderbolts is under $120 million budget, it'll be good.
Yeah.
I just, that's a new rule for me that I think I'm going to hold, is that if MC movies that don't have Avengers in the title are over 150 million or anywhere in that range, they're going to be bad, probably. Just expect them to, because I don't know what it is, but when movies get past, there's a threshold. I haven't figured out exactly what it is, but it's somewhere in the 80 to 120 million range. When they get past that, for some reason they get worse. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like, oh, it'll be fine. We've got the money to fix it. If that's the attitude or what, I don't know what it is, but it's true. They just do not hold up as like they get a little bit higher of a budget and for a little bit, it's okay. But there's a threshold. It's as soon as you get X amount more,
it does seem
it gets worse. And it's like, I don't know why. I don't know what that is, but that's my, like, if Thunderbolts is like for instance, if Thunderbolts lost $200 million to make, there's no way that movie's going to be good because they just
think they're going to go backwards with budgets at this point.
They have to. They have to make money. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they should, but will they? I don't know if they're going to ever roll that back. So I think it is going to be a 200 plus.
I don't know. I think they will.
They kind of themselves like they keep pushing the bar up. And
well, so here's what I'll say. I think they will, but one of the reasons I think they won't is because at the moment they don't have names like Chris Evans and RDJ and Chris Hemsworth attached. Like RDJ is obviously going to be doomed, but for all the other movies, they're not spending $80 million on cast alone. You see what I'm saying? So if they're going to do it, now's the time because they've got like Florence. How do you say her name? Pugh.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh. She's probably the highest name in Thunderbolts, right? I would think. I don't even know. Or maybe Sebastian.
Yeah, maybe Sebastian Stan.
But like those guys still, they're not RDJ, Chris Evans.
No.
They're not 40 million a piece or whatever. So like,
I mean,
they're not inflating the budget beyond its means.
Yeah, plays Guardian. It's like from Stranger Things fame. He's gotten his own following.
David Harbour.
Yeah.
But even him, like, you're still not blowing past the 80 million. All of them in it, you're not getting. Getting past it.
It's got a reported budget of 150 million.
Yeah, it sucks. It's gonna be. I'm just kidding. It's gonna be awful. Don't even watch it. No, I'm just kidding. So, well, that's what I'm saying. That's right in that range. That could be. It could still be good. I think it's 120 to 130. But like I said, it's not a science yet. I don't have it down, but just from the numbers I have seen, it's somewhere in that range. Like
based on what you know,
like for instance, the newest Indiana Jones, it was like 220 million or whatever. It's like, why? Why are you making a 220 million Indiana Jones movie? That doesn't make any sense. Like,
I know.
So that's why Deadpool and Wolverine. I keep forgetting that we're trying to do like a capsule episode of like Deadpool. Like I keep going on tangents, man.
But hey, yeah, we'll take that and we'll just kind of start to wrap up here. So that is kind of thoughts that we've had, ideas related to this. It definitely it made us talk, which is cool. Like it gave us a lot to talk about, and we're happy to see them on the screen again. Of course, that was very much we were anticipating that for a long time. And then definitely once Logan got involved, that was a big draw for a lot of people I know, and even like Deadpool is not for everybody, for sure, and so I think they did get a bigger audience because of Hugh Jackman, brought in a broader audience, I'll say. Yeah, for sure, which is cool.
Brought in all those Greatest Showman fans.
Yeah, exactly. All the mothers, all the.
Ryan Reynolds is probably doing a pretty good job of that already.
He does all right for himself, for sure. He brings in the boys, and then Wolverine brings in the girls. But yeah, good movie. I liked it, and yeah, hopefully you guys did too. If you saw it, hopefully you saw it. If you made it this far. You basically saw it.
Yeah.
With us.
You've seen it. You've seen it. Tell us what you think of the movie now that you've seen it with us.
You basically have. Yeah, good time. Good, I don't know, like, I guess it doesn't have to be a theater movie. That one doesn't really do anything, like, spectacularly huge. They said there was something they did with that opening sequence in IMAX where they had him pop out of the screen a bit more, in some way that was apparently fresh. But I don't think like mainly like you could watch it at home and it'll be pretty much as good, for sure. So yeah, I think we'll probably see it at some point again once it releases on streaming or whatever. I assume. I don't know. I imagine that one's not going to be one that'll be shelved forever.
Yeah, I was about
compared
to
to
say.
some.
I was about to say maybe we make one of these a watch along.
Yeah, we could watch a Deadpool movie. We got which one we want to do, and
It would be fun to do the first one.
yeah, it'd be good. Put that on the list, and let us know what you guys think. What we should what do you think we should do watch-alongs with? Maybe, and then we'll either ignore or.
I was about to say, tell us so that we can ignore them. Give us a list. Spend ample amount of time on this list.
Mail it to our PO box.
Yeah.
No,
Send it to the email that's definitely posted. Look around for the posted link to the email. It'll be there. If you can't find it, that's on you. It's there. It's definitely there. Send that list in, and we will be sure to look at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Send thoughts and prayers. Your way
for your movie list.
In case something comes of it. And if it does, hey, good for you. No.
You know who we're talking to. I'm just kidding.
Anyway. All right. Appreciate you listening. Did we want to wrap up with anything else in this one, or just move on to the next?
I think Deadpool Wolverine is it's good enough on its own. We will be back with the next continuing episode of our normal series,
and then also and then make the sequel to this once Deadpool versus Madcap comes out, Deadpool 4, and then Wolverine and Hulk, that spinoff sequel when that comes out. So yeah, we're here for you, Marvel. We're gonna be.
Dude, you know what?
We're gonna be along for the ride.
You know what I thought about, and I know this is not a new thought because this is part of the joke, but I was like, oh man, if Hugh does come back, he could be Old Man Logan, and I was like, wait, that's what Logan was supposed to be. We already got Old Man Logan, and then we got younger Logan again after that. I was like,
then we did get an Old Man Logan.
We did.
I forgot that one.
I did too until just now.
Which you were saying, I think you thought maybe it was a Clint Eastwood reference or something.
No, what was it? We were talking about that. I can't remember.
But he's got the Sarapa and the flat brim hat, and he's on the porch and shoots him the shotgun, which is fun.
That was I forgot about that one though.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I was like, because the line, you're gonna do this till you're 90. I was like, oh well, then we would get an Old Man Logan. And I thought about, I was like, no wait, we literally got Old Man,
but
Logan.
Not in the MCU. So maybe
dude, who knows?
With that. I don't know.
But anyways, yeah. So thanks you guys.
They can do whatever they want. They can ruin their characters however.
And so can we. This is the end. No, just turn it off. All right, well, I don't have any special send-offs or films.
You don't have any Deadpool poems?
No Deadpool poems. That would be good.
You could read like a little comic and
send read off a whole comic.
Like, does he have any like goodbye monologues that he famously has in his?
I think he just steals other people's, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. He just quotes a movie.
Does he have his own? Man, if I could freaking spell. I don't think so. I don't know of any. Do you know of any? You know Deadpool more than I do.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
I mean,
not specifically. I don't think. He kind of just.
What was the end credit scene?
It was the Johnny Storm.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
he won't take the slander anymore. Right.
Thing where he was like, talking back, like, you know what? No,
because
I will say this about her, and you can quote me.
Yeah, I was like, wait, did they do a setup for something? Because I couldn't remember. But nope, not at all.
No, there was nothing like Nobody Returns. No. They did like a little goodbye Fox, like we will remember you.
Yeah.
Montage.
Lots of love.
Yeah. I mean, that was the movie. That was pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think that's it. But
because I did forget about that the tag. Yeah.
We're just dragging this out. We're trying to hit the 3-hour mark. Okay, we got promises out to our sponsors. The bees are watching, so
we have to get there, honey.
If we have to get there, honey. If we don't hit that 3-hour mark, you don't want to know. So we don't want to deal with it.
Because we can throw in a whole other ad package, a whole other sponsored. I'm sorry that you had to listen to ads through every 10 minutes in this.
Bro, speaking of, man, when we do talk about the next Stargate episode, I'm gonna have a word to say about that. We had to watch we'll talk about it then. But
look out for that.
Go if you don't mind expletive, content or whatever the term is. Go watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Tell us. what you think if you wanted to, but also just enjoy good movies. That's the main thing that we're doing with this podcast.
Yes, they reference The Proposal.
No. Greatest Showman, which we said multiple times.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I think at one point.
Music Man,
which
I don't know. He didn't do a movie? He did a stage version, but the actual movie, it's not him, but it's good.
Okay, never seen it.
Yeah. That's what is that?
Okay, reference Canada, but we don't suggest you go visit there, just for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that was the Will Smith reference there. But yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, like you said, comment what you thought of the movie below. We want to hear. So we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening. And yeah, I've been Ben.
Andrew.
And thanks for listening.
I remember that time.
See ya.